All right. Live abruptly, a little late, not because of black based time blindness. That was actually Dan Sheckelwitz. That was his fault.
It's Evanstein.
Steve.
The one drop rule completely changed my entire Irish and Welsh heritage.
It's funny you said Welsh because um, yeah, I told you, and I talked in depth a bit with you about the appeal of CK3, Crusader Kings 3,
Yeah.
and I just downloaded like a new set of things that like they were marketing is like it's gonna go away, better buy it, pulling their certain kind of marketing for the end of the holiday season.
They're trying to us you out of your money.
Yeah, so I fell for it, spent the $40 to like get the perk or whatever. And hello, Katie. If you're free, if you're not streaming tonight, I'll send you the link after Dan leaves. Because I don't want to interrupt our flow because he's got limited time. Anyway, CK3, they got like set time points, 867. 1066 and 11 like 88 or something. It's like key points. 1066 of course is like the Normans taking England, I think. 867 is of course the Vikings bum rushing England, starting to venture to West Europe, more so than like Germany, Denmark. But there's all these like different time points and kind of like styles, if you will. There's like Iran, Spain, whatever. So usually I when I'm doing the set points, I grab 867 and I play as this Russian Viking. But I get frustrated, so I start over a lot, or I learn new things. But yeah, England, I've been focusing as an Icelandic Viking. So I try to start when I make my own guy, and then try to go into Ireland and England. So I've learned about Wales a little bit, listened to a lot of documentaries about Wales recently, Vikings and all that. So I'm actually understanding the region now a bit, understanding Umbria versus Wales versus Scotland, the divide line. So that's interesting that you're Welsh. It's interesting that they even made that a distinction on an island country. The fact that Scotland is like Rome, yeah, this is where we stop. We just can't go any further. Like, dude, there's not much left. Why did you stop? Like I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the Welsh. Like,
Really?
I know they have a cool dragon flag. I think don't the Irish and the Scotch like hate them, like something like that. I know they're Gaelic, but do they get along?
I don't know. And then also there's Cambrian people, I think. At least
Coheed Cambrian.
So in the game, not only do you have to worry about faith and but there's like race as well. And so like, it's all cut up. You can like do like different map features, like see the layout of like, all right, I'm Norse. Or where do I need to change the culture? You can use your vassals, your stewards, whatnot to influence change, demographics, and religion to make it like a better transition. The people are more cool with you. Yeah, so Cambrian is a distinction as well. It's sort of like Northumbria and Scotland, like that region. Basically Hadrian's Wall region. So I've not dug into all the different Anglo people distinctions, but the game like gives you some structure or some understanding of like, like yeah, even the like just white people of England is a hodgepodge of subcategories, and I don't know, it's just like a cool little thing to play with to start getting a God's eye view of history.
Yeah, it's way more complicated than people realize. Like especially in the American sense, like we're not really taught anything. Like you learn about World War II and you learn about the Civil War, like what 8 times by the time you graduate high school, and
revolutionary highlights.
Yeah, even if you learn about the like any part of Western civilization, it usually stops with like the fall of Rome, and that's it. Western Civ in American schools just means like 200 years of Roman history.
Yeah, I remember having this conversation. There's this black guy I worked with. He was from Chicago, but he grew up here since like his teens in Ohio. So it was a culture shock to him, but he still got like some of these like intrinsic kind of like black ghetto bred kind of perspectives. Like, you know, there's this obvious kind of hate whitey and that kind of shit, you know?
Yeah, I get it.
But it was weird because like he never really engaged with, you know, I mean, I'm mixed, I'm American, but you know, I am black and white and a little smidge of Indian, American, not the H1B variant.
The feather kind.
Yeah. And he never like engaged perspective of a person of color. I hate that terminology, but any kind of colored person, off-white, whatever, that didn't promote like woke stuff, you know? And I was like pretty much Republican in my talking points. And he was just so perplexed by it. And he would say stuff like, I'm always going to look out for my black people first. And I'm like, dude, you have a mortgage. You have a mortgage.
You defaulted to the Eric Jalaf.
Yeah, it's like you have a mortgage and 3 children with a white woman. Also, her mom lives with you. Like, no, you're not putting blacks first at all, dumb fuck. Like, you left that at the door however many, like 16 years ago when you had your first child with a white woman. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? But he can't, you know, doesn't even see the fucking contradiction, you know. And
Angus, can you even do a black voice without it being Eric anymore?
Shit, no. No.
You just played yourself, man. You stereotyped yourself.
Yeah. But it was interesting to deal with that because one time he was like, oh, he was getting in this like education is controlled, they're lying to us, which I guess this is like this black idea of they're lying about our history. It's kind of like, see, I don't know if he got
like
it from CRT
and all that. Yeah,
I don't know if he got it from CRT or not because this is an older idea.
He probably got it from like black, like Israelism and all that kind of stuff, like black nationalism.
Yeah, he was saying something crazy like, oh yeah, they don't want you to know, like Chicago was founded by a black man, you know. It's like, why do we start history at like this point in America and blah blah blah. And I'm like, and so I looked into it because like he offered like a legitimate kind of perspective, and I looked into it, it's like, oh well, like we don't care about who founded Chicago because it was a fucking Canadian. That's why we don't care. It's not because he was black, it's because he was Canadian. So like we just ignore that, you know, collectively. But it's funny because I disproved him because I'm like, I'm from Oklahoma. I'm from like one of the poorest states in America. And in my history class, 9th grade, we learned about like one of the first victims of the British for the American Revolution was a black guy. It was Atticus Finch. But he was like
Atticus Finch?
Not Atticus, fuck no. Crispin Attucks.
Crispin what?
I think it's Crispin Attucks. I think was one of the first victims of the Boston Massacre.
How would it suck to be that guy? Like you already have to be a black dude at that time period, so it's
he might have been free. I don't know if he might have been free.
He
was in Boston, so I'm not sure the status.
Attucks, a sailor of mixed African and indigenous ancestry. Indigenous to where? America? Like Indian?
Yeah.
Died in Boston on March 5th, I shouldn't be laughing. March 5th, 1770, after British soldiers fired 2 musket balls.
A black man is speaking. Listen and learn. Why are you laughing?
You're laughing. A black man is speaking and you're laughing.
But yeah, like
Oh no, listen to this. His death and that of 4 other men became known as the Boston Massacre. It only takes 5 people to be a massacre.
I think it was considered a massacre because it was so egregious how it transpired. It was like a St. Stephen kind of act. It was uncivilized for such a noble people, the British Empire, to be slaughtering their own citizens.
Yeah, they never killed anybody before.
Well, no, it was like, you know, an incremental. That was like the first like big, like, whoa, like we got to do something.
Witness testimony during the massacre trial interchangeably used mulatto or Indian to describe addicts.
Yeah, but I learned that in Oklahoma. It was just funny because you somehow like, oh, white people hide the truth in this, and I'm like, dude, I'm from like a fucking Trump white state, dude. I learned this as a kid. What are you talking about? Like, this is before CRT and any of this stuff was taking over the country, so we still had. It was. Fuck, I graduated high school in 2010, so I was in before even the insurgency of Afghanistan. So like before Iron Man, before Dark Knight, like this was like people were still like, yeah, America, you know.
Michael Bay.
You're right, yeah. So no reason to pander at all in this era of like the second term of Bush, you know. So it's just funny to confront him with the truth. And so I don't know. That was interesting. It was funny because he got me on this track to start investigating. Why don't we learn X, Y, and Z? Because I remember in like fourth grade, I learned about the Spanish and like world history, the Aztecs, the Mayans, Columbus, and all that. He's like, oh yeah, we learned about Columbus, and then we jumped to like American Revolution. He's like, why is that? They're hiding. And I'm like, well, no, I mean, we talk about the Pilgrims because they're British. Like, we are a British-based country, and so we kind of, for American history, ignore the Catholic Spanish and French. We fought the French. That's what kicked off the American Revolution. Basically, was the taxing,
and then we partnered with them against the British.
Yeah, and and then also I started learning about like tomatoes. Like I didn't realize tomatoes were such a new thing to Europe with Spanish bringing them from I think Mexico or South America. I didn't realize that. Because I just think like, oh, pizza, Italian, and I'm like, because Mary Beard actually, she said something in a Rome documentary about how Rome, she's like, she was trying to explain Rome even before the split of East and West, that they had different capitals. Basically, it was kind of running amok. And she's like, imagine this pizza is the empire and this tomato is Rome. And she's like, even though Rome didn't have tomatoes, and
you're like,
whoa, what? What? And so that got me on a second little trip. I'm like, oh yeah, also tomatoes were not. That was an American thing to Europe, which is mind blowing to me. But yeah, the Pilgrims. I think it was a mix. There was. I actually just got a book from surprisingly the comic store. They always have random shit in these like half off volumes and stuff. There'll be random books there too. There's a book I just grabbed called Religion and the Founding of the American Republic, and so it's all about the landscape, all the different factions of Christendom fleeing Europe and then attacking each other and making Rhode Island, Maryland, etc. So that's going to be a fun read for me.
That's cool, man.
It's from 98. It was based on like artifact exhibit from like the Library of Congress in the 90s, the like Jefferson building, not the memorial, not his like Pantheon, but the memorial, like one of the buildings for, I guess, the Library of Congress. But anyway,
Monkey Jeebus is tearing you up in the comments.
To kill a monkey. Yeah, I know. I fucked up.
He's like, stop being an Atticus bitch.
Yeah. But it's fun stuff, learning this shit. Anyway, yeah, it's fun disproving that guy and being like, yeah, it's because we're not Spanish, we're British based. That's why we truncate the history that way after Columbus. But he was still kind of stuck on it. And it's just like, I don't know, man. There's no hope for you, I guess. Like, believe your fucking conspiracy theories. It's like not as bad as like me and Rick are just talking about fucking flat earthers. And apparently he has this religious kid at his Subway, and he asked him, was like, hey, yeah, like, what's the deal with religious people and flat earth? And he's like, what are you talking about? And so even this kid didn't know about like there's this whole branch,
the firmament and all that.
Yeah. And the Antarctica conspiracy and moon and stuff. He's I
just assume everything's real now. Why not? Let's have it all.
Yeah. That branched off from a conversation about this guy at work where I'm like, I was saying how I wanted Kamala to win because I wanted it to get worse to like make us better. And I used the comparison of the Great Depression. I was like, when was the last time America was like great and really led things? It was the 50s into the 60s. That was our high point, culturally, economically, manufacturing, etc. And it's all been downhill ever since. We're just a consumer. We only export consumption and entertainment anymore. Yeah, we make a lot of food, but whatever. Real effect on the world is just consumerism now. And I was pointing back to
military
the 60s.
force.
Yeah, interventionism, police stating the world. But I was saying how, like, yeah, we had the Great Depression, and that wrecked us for a while, Dust Bowl. And then we got into World War II, and that really helped us modernize our industry. And we also bombed all the competition. And we ransacked the world in that way for a good while. And then it all went downhill. Basically, JFK dying. That's kind of like the marker of when shit went downhill, because he was going to get us out of our beginning intervention in Vietnam that was left over from France and etc. And it's military industrial complex, Eisenhower, everything. He's like, oh, like, how old are you? And I'm like, 32. He's like, oh, so you weren't born then? So how do you know? I'm like, I don't know, man. At some point, you got to just like accept what you've been told. Like, I get all sorts of conspiracy thinking and we don't know the whole truth. We find out secret documents later, but effectively, like, a lot of things we've been told are true. And so you just kind of got to accept it at some point. Like, all right, these things we've been told, this is the narrative. That's what we got, I get annoyed with that kind of line of thinking of just everything's a lie, everything's a conspiracy. It's like,
yeah, probably.
Partially, probably, like, but the key events are there, like.
For some reason, the Indians are no longer here.
Yeah.
Maybe they walked out. I don't know, but
wait, tomatoes being so acidic would cause the lead from the plates to seep into the food, which would kill. What are you talking about?
I'm talking about tomatoes.
No, I get that. I don't understand plates. What does he mean?
I guess like plates they put the food on.
But he said lead.
I guess they put lead in the plates back in the day. I mean, like, why can't this be true? Why not?
I just want clarification, actually.
I'm gonna put, did tomatoes lead
poison
plate real poison? I'm just gonna search like the stupidest way. The real reason why tomatoes were once really acidic tomato leached lead from the plate, which when consumed caused lead poisoning. Well, there you go. The Stony Mick is right.
What context is this?
I don't ask the Stony Mick, man, if he's not too drunk.
Tomatoes,
it's okay. I'm Irish too. I can say that.
Lead plates. Pewter. Okay, they were using pewter plates, which had lead in them.
Pewter plates.
Okay, but they were misassociating the poisoning with tomatoes. Interesting. Wait, well, why weren't they blaming other things before that for the poisoning?
maybe they weren't as acidic. Huh. Oh, they were blaming women. That's why they were burning them. Remember?
Sure. Yeah, I guess so.
I love dropping the occasional subversive woke narrative on your stream just to throw you off.
Well, no, it's like, no, the witch trials, that was a big thing for like 50, 100 years in America. Remnants from, I guess,
do you see any witches? Do you see any witches today? Sounds like it worked.
I don't know. There was a witch that went to Nick Fuentes' house.
He probably had it coming though.
No. Oh, my feelings on that one.
Well, if he wasn't successful, apparently they weren't a real witch, were they?
You don't see why auto belief is a valid strategy. Well, it's. I remember I had this conversation with the Judex guy. I can't remember what his other book is, but
Jude.
No, his book's like Judex. I was interviewing about it.
Like Latinx, but for Jews.
No, it's like a French, like Zorro, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
I
snap.
wasn't able to back the book, but I wanted to interview him and promote it.
That actually sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll try to find a link.
He fights with a baguette.
No, he has a couple pistols actually, some revolvers,
nice.
if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, I remember asking him because he, I think, has a degree in like classicist, whatever, like Rome, classics. And I was asking him like, how do we know, or like, how do we know what's valid with like historical documents, 2000 plus years old? And he's like, well, it's kind of all we got, so we just have to kind of go with them and try to piece out what might be propaganda or skewed beliefs of the time versus comparing with archaeology, etc. Like, yeah, so you kind of just have to accept what you have and then investigate after the fact. So yeah, that's kind of auto belief. Like, I have not really researched auto belief as an idea, but I guess that is a thing. But yeah, it's like, what else do you have is kind of where I fall. So
Oh yeah, and isn't that like the whole end of 1984, where O'Brien rewrite like, the idea of rewriting history? So if all you believe is like what you have, so that you can just change history, and that's all that matters.
oh no, I'm not saying it's not a problem or
No,
can't
no, I'm
be
just saying like that's but like
manipulated.
that's the idea, I guess. You know.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I think, one reason I left Catholicism was I saw what this commie pope was doing, dancing around the legality of his role. Is he has to, any new insight or depth on something, he has to reflect on 2,000 years of papal decrees and stuff, and so his hands are kind of tied with any just making outlandish claims. And so this Pope has figured it out. It's like, well, I don't have to try to make heresy about, say, abortion doctrine. I just have to influence my inferiors all the way down to like the lowly priest in a single parish to just not talk about it as much, and then it'll just seep into the consciousness that it's just not an issue. So that's how he's subverting Catholicism. And realizing that's why I left. I'm like, all right, this is my view. That's for that religion, that's the fullness. If he's going to eschew it, then there's nothing else.
Did you have to do an exit interview?
No, I think the legality of like, if you're baptized and confirmed, you're just eternally Catholic. You're just,
hey, all right.
Yeah, you're eternally Catholic, but you're out of grace because you're not
like,
participating.
I'm still Catholic without the benefits.
Yeah,
I still have the guilt, but none of the benefits.
That's a funny way to put it. Yeah, that's my understanding. Like, as just layman speak of the situation. But yeah, no, it's funny because we had an interesting back and forth on Twitter.
That you have a lot of those.
Got into religion. It wasn't meant to be a like fuck you.
Yeah,
it was like, you post something about Snyder, and
you're talking about me. Okay.
Yeah.
Look at. Oh yeah, I love talking with you on Twitter.
Yeah, and it was like, dude, you just opened like an insight for me where I just never had words for it, man.
All right, cool. Let's talk about it.
Let me find that.
For the chat, I enjoy the Snyderverse, so if you want to leave now, go ahead.
All right. Yeah, you talk to the chat for a minute while I find this.
Hello, chat. I am also a Stony Mick.
Found you.
Scrummy Wummy, I think auto belief is a pretty good strategy. I mean, that's what babies have. And then I guess you as you grow in anything, you learn to parse out through new information. But I guess that you can apply that same learning skill to any kind of thing. Like when you go into anything new, you tend to accept whatever you see, and then it refines through experience.
Damn it. Where is this? I'll have to search my page really quick to find what I was looking for.
What are you, Bono?
What?
You still haven't found what you're looking for?
God damn it.
You know any of the guys from a CG church, Angus?
I think so. I think One Gun and I think that's One Gun and um fuck, what's his name? Ruby King, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Somebody randomly tagged us talking to them and like got us set up with them to be on sometime this month, but they seem like nice enough guys, I guess.
Nice.
You just know everybody.
In some way, yeah, usually. At least in passing or hearing of. It's hard to keep track sometimes.
In trolling.
Not always trolling, no. I don't try to troll necessarily.
You're like, I just naturally troll.
I guess, yeah, I guess.
I always think it's funny. Like, I think you're one of the funniest people I have on Twitter here. Most people don't try.
Wait, funny how?
Like your Twitter's just funny, man. Like you just say funny shit. Like, the funniest part is when people take it seriously.
Like what?
Like usually when you're like detracting.
Oh,
I'm like, I don't think Angus is clearly this is hyperbole, but I don't think this guy gets it.
Dude, so many times I will go months forgetting that I'm on a mission from God to detract. Like detraction is just a natural state with Eric because he sucks. And so like I forget it, but then people like Renown will be like, you're the guy who thinks God sent you. And then
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, people be like they take it seriously.
It's like, okay, the whole root of that is I was arguing with someone and they're like, why do you buy stuff you just know you're not going to like it? Well, you can get other comics and enjoy it. And I'm like, I enjoy not liking these.
Well, aren't you also like trying to enjoy it? Like I've heard your like criticism. Like you're actually looking to try to find something good.
Well, that's the thing. If you actually listen to me, it's like, oh, like I hate that he hates this and he's tearing it apart, but he's actually like giving good ideas of like to play with, or like, oh fuck, this is how we could make the story better, and like fuck detractors.
Well, if like Rippaverse put out something good, like you would say it's good. That's what I trust, is what I'm saying. Yeah. I've never found you in bad faith when it comes to reviewing art.
No, that's why I hate like a lot of what are Fandom Menace OG channels. It's because like Nerdrotic, Geeks Gamers, whenever they say something true or something, it's like there's still an agenda behind it, or they'll hold their punches on shit. Or like Ryan Cannell, I trolled him on a Geeks and Gamers stream that I just happened to catch one day. I'm like, oh yeah, like, speaking of like wokeness and stuff, like, did you see that attack of Yair on a guy that's more woke than Captain Marvel, which is like a big factor of their channel success when that was a thing, crapping on Captain Marvel, reasonably so. And we saw the extended deleted scene where she like basically crushes a guy's hand for saying like, hey, you should smile more, sweetie, hitting on her. And has this like feminist response of like aggression instead of like, I'm not interested, or thanks, no thanks, whatever. Just instantly goes to like violence.
Like like the classic response she would have up one Deem in basically almost like a like sexually prowess way. She would have used her femininity to up one him, or one up.
Well, it's like that's like a Terminator thing,
Yeah, like, exactly. Who's not a human.
It's like she is supposed to be the hero, and they frame it like this is a good thing. There's no like classic comparison. Film with comics is Spider-Man. Spider-Man classically is like, it's not my problem. And then that directly relates to Uncle Ben dying, him like helping that guy, let him take the elevator, So that's where he learns his objectivist state is, oh, I had the power to act with like a bad guy and I didn't, and someone died. So now he is forever on alert with those kind of things. And that
let's dive into that. You brought that up with the Man of Steel stuff. Let's dive into that.
Okay, so let me see.
You got it yet?
Let me share it. And yeah, Stoney, you're totally right with that.
What's up, Tevin the Lore Seeker?
Let me make sure I get the right one up. Okay, Godfoe. So, Godfoe says, that's Dan right here. People don't realize this scene in Man of Steel happens because there's rumors about Clark. The world had a mere glimpse of his power and already turned on him. This is why his father's correct, even to death.
Mm-hmm.
He needed to be a man of steel to bear the world's fear. And I was like, this is why Red Sun is better. Like Spider-Man within his political upbringing insight. And when I say that, I mean like in Red Sun, him being a communist born Superman, he understands the duty he has with his power. And so that's like my first kind of like, yeah, I don't like it.
The Red Sun's an interesting one because it turns into a liberal thing by the end, and Lex Luthor is right and reveals or that's like quote unquote right, and he reveals Superman's flaw with like putting the people in a jar. You know what I mean? He couldn't save, like, it's like Brainiac or somebody turned like that whole population tiny and they were in a jar or whatever, and like Superman couldn't help them, and Lex Luthor like wrote that letter to him equating basically his communist ideology to that, like you're keeping society in a jar for like perfection or whatever. That's how Red Sun ends.
I thought Red Sun ends in like a contained loop.
It does, but what I'm saying, like Lex Luthor, like that's how he quote unquote wins against Superman, is basically making Superman like liberal by the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of disproves Superman, and so that's when Superman kind of steps back. And
yeah, Superman's like looking for that. Yeah,
it's funny because like Rookie watched the film Red Sun.
Yeah. I haven't seen that one. I need to watch that one.
It's all right. I think they changed a couple of things. I think they made
probably.
I think they made Wonder Woman gay. But otherwise, I think
that's okay.
Pretty faithful. But yeah, he really liked just seeing that film, and yeah, like I remember I was interested to read that because
Rook's like, I can't read and drink Pepsi at the same time.
I remember I was interested to read Red Sun just because it's sold as like evil Superman, and then I read it, I'm like, he's not evil. He's a communist. There's a huge difference. Like we can think communism's evil, but reading communist Superman is like he is not evil. There's not a intent of evil. He's trying to do good from his worldview. That's the whole point of the concept. Like, what if he's somewhere else? Like, there's still the root of Superman, and he shines through in the end. And then it's like, oh wow, like actually Superman is the descendant of Lex Luthor. Yeah, and it circles eternally.
That part. I'm not hating it. It seemed a little unnecessary.
It was a nice way to contain it.
Yeah, well, you're right. It's a nice way to contain it. I think it was it was a little unnecessary, like a tag on. But yeah, like, I mean, of course, Red Sun works. Communism, quote unquote, works in it because they solve the problem of what's the word I'm looking for? Scarcity. You have a Superman who can do anything. He can plow as many fields as 1,500 kulaks in one day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'm trying to find the next post to follow up. I share naughty things sometimes. I don't want to. That's why I'm always pulling Twitter up and down.
Well, no, it's like and like with that post about Man of Steel, like I realized that. I mean, I like the movie. I've always liked the movie, but I realized rewatching it again. And I realized maybe some people get confused because there's the main plot and then there's the flashbacks, and the main plot is like it's super short. Like it's like really connected. And I think the flashbacks throw people off because I've heard people say the movie feels like disjointed or not well made. And I think the flashbacks just throw people off. Because I think a lot of people in that scene I was talking about don't realize that guy is attacking Clark, basically trying to like get him to be aggressive because the rumor is Clark is strong and Clark is weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get that. With the flashbacks though, so like of course, you know, I'm a huge Alexander the Great fan.
Yeah.
That's gotten me. And if I'm being like just blunt, like without explaining it, it's like Alexander's God, and
Black Angus drops Alexander is God. Doesn't elaborate. Leaves.
Oh, it's funny you said, because I saw this post about some priest, I guess was in India hundreds of years ago, and he went to like a temple, I'm assuming Hindu temple, and he asked like something very simple, probably with the translator, about like, well, what are you about? And it's like, well, don't kill cows and don't do like this thing or something. And so he's like, oh, so you can do X, Y, and Z, and it's whatever. It's just those kind of are like the core ideas.
Yeah.
And it was like way oversimplified. Someone was sharing it, trying to like talk I don't know, this Christian perspective, like, yeah, we're so based or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, how are you going to convert these people if you don't understand what they in depth believe?
Yeah.
Also, it totally ignores an extension of like the cow thing is like, they believe in reincarnation repeatedly. So the cow is like, I guess I'm assuming the like prime temporal state that you could be incarnated as.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, effectively, aren't like Hindus, at least a chunk of them, like vegetarians?
I think so. I think most of them are.
So it's kind of built intrinsically to not hurt any living being, So it was just seeing that's like, oh, you just like hear that and then make giant assumptions and never investigate. And it's like, well, I'm done with that. Idiot. But no, the film Alexander in any of its cuts, I think the ultimate cut is the like final, or it might be called like final cut. I can't remember what the like penultimate version Oliver Stone made. But there's a lot of like the timing. There's a lot of like weird flashbacks that intermingle with depth, with adding depth to like the current timeline of him, like going in his ventures into Asia, where like you're reflecting back on a moment in life that echoes a perspective or something. But people hated it, crapped on it. I think just narratively trying to tell a story and going back and forth, unless you're Tarantino or Chris Nolan, like for whatever reason, just does not compute with people's brains. People are just on normie autopilot. I need A to B and do not divert from that. So I think that fact of most people watching movies are just stupid, completely hurts Man of Steel.
I think so. I think it follows like it follows a straight narrative. Like it's, you see the destruction of Krypton, and then you see Clark saving people, kind of being a transient, and then he finds the spaceship, wakes it up, finds his dad. Dad makes Zod come, and then they fight Zod. That's it. That's literally the whole plot. Everything else is flashbacks, and I think they work beautifully. I think it's kind of like a novel, but I think a lot of people, because I don't know, I could see if you weren't paying attention to it, if you like had your phone out, or you just, I don't know, if you wouldn't see how the flashbacks, they also connect together. You know what I mean? Not just to the main plot, but with each other. What's up, BTM?
That's why I share his chat. I got Rookie to watch it because he saw BVS once in theaters. I'm like, oh, dude, yeah, it's still got problems, but the ultimate cut is like well worth the watch. And we watched
much better.
So I introduced him with Man of Steel. I don't know if there's an extended cut of that, or I just watched Man of Steel with him, just the straight theatrical, whatever is on Amazon or whatever. And he was like, definitely exhausted of the third act and annoyed with just the template Superman versus another Superman. Basically, is just boring as fuck to like put on screen, generally speaking. he's like ultimate god being, and they're just like pow, and it's like, oh, it doesn't do anything, they're just punching each other through buildings, hurting other people, it's redundant and stupid and boring. Versus like Iron Man, a man in a tin can, versus Hulk is like, what is going to happen? How is he going to fucking deal with this shit? Like, or even Hulk and Thor, whoever, like somehow Marvel, even with god powered beings, makes really good, Thanos versus Iron Man. There should be no competition, and yet it's compelling.
I think that's what people miss too. Like, I think that's why it shows the city destruction caused by Zod. Like, it's showing that this fight, the people this fight impacts is Earth, not Superman.
Yeah, no, I get that, but delivery and there's no connection for the audience of Metropolis with Superman. It's like, yeah, he gets a job there, whatever, but. That's it. There's no, there's a problem. Batman in Gotham, however you deliver it, like, we understand. My parents died here. This is home. It's fucked up. In the name of my parents, I am going to clean this shit up.
Yeah.
Outside of the law to maintain order.
Well, I think that answers it. So maybe the reason, other than Lois Lane, why he stays in Metropolis, but I think that connection. I think that's why Snyder had the monument put up in BVS, is that the connection is that the fight took place in Metropolis, and because Superman saved it, he has like a special connection to it. They have a special connection to him now because he saved them.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue
it's probably Lois, though.
Yeah, no, Lois is meant to be the like anchor to represent like Earth for Superman, but it doesn't resonate. It's just, oh, that's my chick. That I'm interested in or whatever, the
man saying chick with all these like scantily clad figurines behind him. Clearly, I'm just like Superman. he's just like me for real.
And honestly, Amy Adams, I think, is just a weird choice. Like, I don't know. She doesn't have like the punch. I hate Superman generally, just as a concept, power wise. But then, like, I get, if it's written well, the appeal. Like, I love for all seasons. I think that if this is how you're pitching Superman, with the help of like conveying it through the people that relate to him, that are tied to him, including Lex Luthor, you can make a good story of like the human, the person of Clark, under the suit. But yeah, but no, Ricky really liked a lot of like being in hindsight, basically 10 years after like superheroes pop off to be like an everyday blockbuster kind of dictate film now. It's really cool to go backwards and watch those films, Ultimate Cut, BVS, and Man of Steel. It's like, yeah, this is daring, and different. it's not a whole like Krypton. It's kind of like fucking,
it's a sci-fi film.
It's a lot of noise on screen, but then you got this good rootedness with Russell Crowe and his wife, and the sentiment of like accepting their fate, versus Zod is like, my whole mission is our people.
Well, I do want to ask you this, like, I
love Zod. I love Zod's direction.
Oh, yeah, and the actor Michael Shannon, his fantastic actor.
His resolve, like, I'm totally Team Zod.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you about. We're here, like, I think I try to stay out of politics because I'll give my opinion, but because it's very boring. Like, especially the like right wing and left wing. We know left wing's boring. We know woke is boring, but like the dissident right is really boring right now. And part of it is because they haven't claimed this movie, and like this whole movie is like, if you want to look at it through their lens, Superman's home is destroyed by people being like overtly scientism and like thinking in bureaucracy, and everything is like all the sharp corners.
It's sterile.
Exactly. It's literally so it's anti-human. And that's
Superman is anti-human,
and Zod
his existence.
Zod is like the warrior class that they bred, and like he's yelling like, you won't kill it, like you won't even do it yourself. You're gonna send us to be basically nanny stated for 1 billion years. You
Yeah.
know, like it's the and
Can't even mete out justice properly and cut my throat.
exactly. You can't do anything. Like it's all sterile. It's all just bureaucratic nanny state all the time. It like you'd think people would pick up on that, and then Superman is like he is in some way the Ubermensch, as you said and pointed out. I think he's more of a Christ figure, but I think those two go together, and I think Tolkien would agree with that, even though you hate Tolkien.
Like, oh, what does he think? I don't care.
But Superman embodies free will, and not in the American sense of liberty, but in like choosing your own fate and destiny and pushing against. Like the whole thing is that he subverts what the world thinks of him. He will not be dictated to by a bureaucracy. He will do what is right.
Yeah. No, yeah. I guess I never thought about it in that way with the court scene and
Especially
like
BVS,
him accepting the cuffs and going before Congress.
But the thing is, like, there's the symbolism in that is as soon as it gets bureaucratic, as soon as they start arguing at stuff in Man of Steel, the first thing he does is stand up and snap the handcuffs, and it's like, yeah, you don't control me. Like I am here for you.
Honestly, when you're, and Snyder layers this himself image wise. With the Christ stuff, but yeah, I think he's kind of counter Christ in some ways in the symbology and stuff, because like Jesus deals with the bureaucracy of Rome thanks to his people deferring to them to try to clean their hands of it's like, oh, we're not doing it's Rome. Like
yeah, they wanted a crucifixion. They tried stoning, it didn't work. They wanted a crucifixion.
Yeah, and Jesus just accepts it because I mean that's kind of the fate he put on himself. Prophecy,
and he does tell them, "You have no power except what has been given to you over me." He makes that stand, like he makes a stand that like you don't have power over me as a state, but I am submitting to you. So yeah.
And then Superman, him standing up in the jail cell, breaking the cuffs. I'm not gonna play this. Whatever. I'm just gonna leave.
And then you're right. I was thinking about the court scene in BVS. The lady, I forgot her name, wonderful actress, where she's like, she is all about. She said every action on this planet is a political action. I disagree with that. So does Superman. So
Indians shitting on the street. That's political.
and she goes, in a democracy, we talk to each other. We govern by the will of the elected or whatever. But that the whole thing is the whole beginning. It shows that her government, the U.S. government, is acting without the will of the people. They're involved in all these wars around the world. And the whole thing is like Lex Luthor is not. He doesn't believe in democracy. He wants to be the Ubermensch. He is like, no, I'm going to blow all this up. I don't care what you say. I am doing what I want to do. And Superman is the opposite of that. So and Batman, like the whole world is filled with these men that are like, nah, we're not going to be dictated to by a democracy or a bureaucracy.
I think that's why it's kind of a confusing duel. Yeah. Versus like Captain America, Iron Man is very, hey, we need to subject ourselves to the state because we're kind of running amok. And Captain America's like, that's the value of us. That's why we're here, is because we step outside of the state. And yeah, Cap politically, at least for that scenario, makes the right stand.
He's much more.
Even though I'm Team Iron Man,
yeah,
he ethically makes the right stand for that scenario at the minimum. Especially with what he's gone through from being like a fucking chucklehead, oh gee golly America, to realizing like, oh, it's all controlled by a secret organization.
Well, he was right. Like, well, if Hydra can, I don't even know it at the time, but he's like, if someone evil wields this power, we're screwed. And it turns out it was Hydra the whole time trying to do it. He was right.
Yeah,
I did find that weak. Like, I liked the Civil War movie, but I did find like Tony Stark trying to kill Bucky because he saw a video of him killing his parents. Like, this guy was brainwashed. You're not that dumb. You're not that emotional. I thought that was a little out of character for Iron Man, but
no, I think the character of Iron Man has put up just like his character, just like echoed through Ultron's trying to like put a suit of armor around the world.
Symbolism.
I think he is a character that, you know, bottles up a lot, you know,
Yeah.
and puts up a big shell.
Yeah, drinks a lot.
Yeah, it's all copium to a degree. And he's had a conflicted relationship with his parents before unexpectedly they're gone, and he didn't really rectify that relationship, and so it's just forever left undone. And
he has to become like Cap that's the whole thing at the end of the series. He has to become like Cap. He has to become the guy that will sacrifice his life for others.
Oh yeah, you know, I've said that a lot.
Cap doesn't have to really change, and I think that's why they aged him out and got rid of him.
No, Cap changes. Cap's aside from like politically his agency in the government being a tool versus realizing his utility.
But I think what I'm saying is that was the world changing around him. He was still the same.
Well, no. I was getting to what I was saying. Like, you know, there's that duel of minds in Avengers. They are engaging, and Cap's got this total like sacrificial fucking messiah angle of like, well, someone's just got to die and lay on the line. And Iron Man's like, I'm just going to find a shortcut. I'm just going to cut the wire. Like, what are you talking about? I'm going to find a way out. And then by the end of it, Iron Man bites the bullet, snaps his finger,
that's the way
accepts his death. Cap goes back. He finally lives for himself.
Yeah,
his whole life has been devoted. And here's me and Ricky talked about this. How
I had a problem with that.
Why is that a problem?
Because it's not Cap. They had to drastically change the character. The whole thing is Cap is the symbol of what
he's never lived for himself. He's finally. What else does he have to do? He's literally.
That's what I think he has. I think he would have to die. That's the thing. Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think they really knew what to do with him.
He died in 1940, whatever, with the Red Skull. He's already done that, and then he comes back and keeps doing it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think they know what to do with him other than drastically changing his character. Because what else can you do with him but die?
Now, I think it's just like, hey, you know, I'm finally like I've literally gone through time to fix things. I'm finally just going to like take a me day
for like 80 years.
You know, and
I'm gonna go bang Agent Carter.
When people are like, oh, but he's gonna let this and that and blah blah blah. It's like if he changes anything. He alerts like, hey, Vietnam, not a good idea. Like,
you think he let 9/11 happen?
Yeah, totally. You know, it's kind of like in the Snyderverse 2, where it's.
I didn't watch that one.
You gotta watch, dude.
I didn't like the first one. I'm not watching the second.
They're good.
Nah.
The second one, that was good because it's like, hey, we all have an Uncle Ben moment. All of us Spider-Man have an Uncle Ben moment.
See, I don't like
and you're going to have one, and that's what like really makes you. And
I don't
he's
like that at all.
No, I'm going to stop it. And so it's like this dichotomy of like,
accepting fate.
Yeah, and so his whole drive is going to be in the third movie to like undo or stop his Uncle Ben moment with his dad.
Yeah, his dad dying,
and that's an interesting dilemma. Like, what if you knew, and you're a better person for this trauma? Are you guilty if you let it happen for the greater good?
Yeah.
You know?
So
that's an interesting dilemma.
So you're defending the Pa Kent death from Man of Steel. Which I'm fine with.
No, I'm all about pragmatics. I love my favorite character, arguably in Game of Thrones, is Tywin. You know, and his perspective of
real politics.
Oh, I'm the bad guy. I'm the bad guy for assassinating my opponent and a couple of his guys versus I'd be good if I let 10,000 fathers and brothers die on the field, you know, and the enemy as well that are still my citizens. Like, what, you know, and like putting that out there, like that's a really interesting dilemma that politicians may have to face, you know.
Well, he saw the folly or the failure of honor after Robert's rebellion. The whole thing is Robert was the more virtuous king than the Mad King, but then he saw the whole kingdom go into disarray because Robert didn't know how to rule.
Well, also he just saw Ned Stark.
Yeah.
And Ned Stark is a counter to the Aragorn. You know, it's like he is the Aragorn of the series. He gets his head cut off. You know, because like that's what honor can get you. It's martyrdom at best.
Well, there's no great God. There's no good God in R. Martin's universe. So
I don't know about that.
So therefore, there's no avatar for it.
I don't know about that. He leaves gods are real, but he never really, and he never will. It's kind of like Walking Dead. He's never going to explain the disease or cure it.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is none of them claim, objective goodness. They claim power in that universe. They're very old gods.
Yeah, it's interesting because I have investigated Game of Thrones religion a little bit and the origins, what they're based on.
Yeah.
And I was really confused because like the Light of the Seven, the seven, because like obviously it seems like a Vatican or whatever, but yeah, it's probably supposed to be like a Christian Vatican parallel.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that the seven is like the Trinity. It's one being with like shades of being.
different being. Yeah.
And so it's funny because the audience, I don't think almost anyone knows that. And then the people in the world don't seem to know it either, which is interesting because they're pagan. They still have the old gods. They stay by the old and new. So they're thinking that this monotheism is a pantheon. And that's really interesting because you think about like Vikings becoming Christianized and whether they were actually doing it or just politically being Christian and still maintaining their old ways.
I'm sure there was some of that, of course.
I think Santeria, they would place their gods within like saints as the avatar to like blend in, but they were still doing their polytheism. So it's like a real thing that's happened in history, purposely or accidentally. So yeah, it's interesting. I mean, the halo comes from Apollo. It was an artistic way to try to con pagans to be Christian.
Well, wasn't Beowulf the whole thing? Wasn't that to get the Danes or whatever?
I don't know if that was a religiously motivated thing. That was just them chronicling a story. But maybe there's religious.
Look that up. I think it was a missionary.
Monks wrote it down.
Thing. Yeah, I think it was an attempt to and it worked. I think it was a really great evangelical tool for the Christians at the time. But
deception.
I liked our discussion of the difference between the Ubermensch and Christ. I mean we could have a 4-hour discussion on it. I really do think other than just Snyder's symbolism, I think the problem we're running with the Ubermensch is that Lex Luthor is the Ubermensch. He's the one who doesn't believe anything but power and has set himself up that way, whereas Superman is trying to embody the ideals of his father, i.e., Christianity and Christ, basically.
Yeah, I'm not well learned on Nietzsche. I need to. He's on my mind to like investigate. I'm aware of Nietzsche mainly because, there's like insight that I feel I found about the Greeks, and then on accident I find out that this guy Nietzsche, basically, 200 years ago, assessed the same thing that like the Greeks were the peak of humanity, and
we should all be gayer.
Legitimately, the world would be a lot better if it doesn't work with Christendom, but I think objectively
it doesn't work with Islam either.
But we're in the West, we're a Christian based society.
I wish we were a Christian based society. Right now we're neither Christian nor based.
Well, I argue that people are like, we need to turn back to Christ, as a country. And it's like, well, even though no one's like carrying the cross or anything in their mission statement. Well, you are here because of Christianity.
Yeah, all of our morality comes from Christianity. I mean, my opinions on Christian nationalism. Like, I don't think that's a real thing. Like, there's no biblical basis for.
No, not even that. Nation. I'm just saying, like, wokeism is a direct.
It's a perversion, weaponization of Christianity.
Well, you are Christian, so that's how you perceive me. I think it's a direct product of a Christian society. That at some point,
the reason I would say that is because if you objectively put them against like the ideals you find in Christianity, like the recorded book, the Bible, like they don't add up. It's clearly a perversion. That is what I'll push back on. I don't think that's a bias. I think that is an objective philosophical difference.
Well, like wokeism in all its forms, Antifa, BLM, whatever. Right now, white male, straight. These are like original sins.
Yeah, because it's all based in Marxism, which was just hatred of Catholicism. Basically, that's all. The whole French Revolution was just hatred of Catholicism.
Right. My
Yeah.
point is that it has the same kind of it works on the same wavelength of thought. Christianity has this I think implicit this kind of tolerance, you know. Actually,
It does, but it has a gateway though. That's what people tend to forget, including Curtis Yarvin. You know what we talked about. The gateway is you have to be a Christian for those rules to apply. Like Christianity is not inclusive to non-Christians. You have to submit to Christ as Lord, or they exclude you.
well, I don't know, turn the other cheek. There's this whole idea of like, you know,
Yeah,
Jesus,
but that's for Christians.
Jesus saying
that's not for non-Christians.
ministering, go out into the evangelical directive is to expose yourself to the world, which is a good idea, I think.
Yeah,
that's why I hate the Amish, because they are counter.
Well, you were I know you got your problems with the Catholic Church. I think a lot of people do, and I get that. But what do you think, like, historically, how the Catholics were able to run nations and kind of separate the church from it, even though they integrated it together? They were not afraid to go to war. They pushed back the Islamic invasion.
Yeah, that was a mix of things. You have a monoculture, even though every nation and duchy, however it was cut up back then, where they weren't really thinking about nation states like we do today. But as we retroactively look at all these nations or
peoples,
duchies,
I guess,
they were, all these different like ethnicities, subvariants, whatever, distinctive across Europe. But there was the monoculture even after the schism,
like a metaculture.
Yeah, there's a metaculture tied with Christendom, you know, and
which I don't even know if
pretty
uniform.
You
can correct me. Did that term exist at the time? I don't know, or did we just like posthumously like dub it that?
What, Christendom? Or
like did they use such a term back then? I don't know. They may have.
The church,
whatever.
Like, everyone.
What do you think of that?
Christian,
especially
Catholic,
like growing up Catholic? What do you think of that? Because I mean, it's a pretty brilliant. Like the Crusades, we get such a bad idea of them because there's like 7 Crusades or something ridiculous. But like the first
6
one,
or 7,
the first one was a response to Islamic aggression. Like there's no getting around that.
That's what's funny too. Is there's this great post. I don't know who is the spokesman, the orator in this video. I don't know who. It comes up randomly with like trad posters. But it's this guy. I think he's in England, and he's surrounded by all these Muslims in some square or park or something.
Oh, I've seen that one. Yeah.
He's
like, my Christianity is this.
No, not that one. No.
Okay.
This guy is like, he's like, don't interrupt me, this and that. And he's like, people vilify the Crusades, yada yada. And he's like, the Crusades happened after basically the Islamization of Christian lands. He's like Christian Turkey, Christian Syria.
The Middle East was
Egypt.
Christian,
Like all these great church fathers, the first like 5 centuries, most of them were like Africa and Middle East.
Ethiopian,
and it was, the Arabic invasion or expansion, whatever you want to call it, through the umbrella of Islam that spread all the way across North Africa up into Spain, took almost all of Spain and Portugal, and the Reconquista was like over like 500 years.
It was like what maybe 300 guys that led it at the time, and the entire nation, something like that.
It was a crazy stat. I saw some on Kings and Generals about it recently.
Stat, like it's a sports. Like it's a sports event.
No,
I gotta tell you, I didn't think they could pull it off, but it
was something crazy. It was like this one big battle that kind of turned the tide was like 8,000 against like 40,000 Muslims, something crazy. But it's it was like 500 to 700 years of them actually taking Spain back. It was a long while. The Muslims were entrenched for, I didn't realize it, hundreds of years in most of Spain.
It's like I forgot what I was going to say. Never mind. Yeah.
The Crusades had a religious unifier with taking at the Holy Land and fighting a non-Christian, barbaric, whatever, however they
Yeah.
termed it, Pope Urban II, which I have a Crusades book, and Pope Urban II's like decree to rally the people is just really real well written.
Yeah.
It's like I read, I'm like, fuck yeah, let's fucking go.
I meant to tell you, did you read because this is a mixture of two of your interests. Did you ever read the event of when Alexander went to Jerusalem?
No.
They refused something like some kind of event, and when he went there, he was met by a high priest dressed in the Old Testament garb. And he said he was taken aback, and he said, "I know you." And the priest is like, "I don't think you know me, Alexander." Alexander's like, "No, I had like a dream when I was a kid that you like told me I would conquer like the world." And they welcomed him in, and they showed him the book of Daniel, where the goat with one horn slaughters the Persian goat and then dies later. And he spared Jerusalem because they convinced him, or he was convinced that he was that goat from prophecy. It's a wild story.
Huh. I don't know that, because if I'm not mistaken, Daniel was written like during that time.
It was written right before. It was written during, I think, Xerxes. I think he lived through Xerxes the first and the second, and Darius. I think he was like an advisor to all three of them.
Oh, it's not like a 150 years before Alexander.
Yeah. He was. I know he was king during Darius, and
Darius, if I'm not mistaken, Darius was the father of Xerxes.
Yeah, Xerxes the first or second.
Xerxes the
Greek
invasion, Athens, killing the 300 Spartans.
It's a wild story, man. Like, it's a really wild. It's so strange in the Alexander story, but I figured both of those interests are up your alley.
Yeah, I finally cracked open this book about it's like Land of the Elephant Kings. It's about this Seleucid obsessed historian. I think he was maybe getting his PhD at the time. He's written another book, but this is like his first one. So I'm like, he's one of the few like reputable guys I can find on the internet that has like really studied them and all, because they're like so sparsely written compared to their other counterparts. So they're interesting because they're like one of the only groups in history to like make an empire but be estranged from their homeland in doing so, because they're Macedonian, they're Greek, but their tie to Europe once they made the Seleucid Empire was like Thrace.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, they were like, north of, they're like Bulgaria, Romania. So they were estranged from the direct homeland that they came from, which I never really thought about, but yeah, that's like, but yeah, because they're Eastern based, nothing really got preserved well. And so Maccabees story, the Hanukkah shit, that's
the Maccabees.
It's kind of
they were
all
warriors.
we really got as like a in-depth, and that's like from an enemy perspective.
Yeah.
And unlike the Greeks, who, that's what's weird about like the CRT white history perspective of lying or whatever. It's like, the Greeks wrote like most of what we got about the Persians. Like
so
they were
really
enemies. Well, no, the thing is that even though like, Herodotus, the kind of like exaggerations and stuff, the, definitely portraying them as like Medites or whatever, the foreigner. They still had the objectivity to not just completely slander them. And I think that speaks to the character of like Western history. Even in a fairly unreliable narrative, they still give like credence to the enemy. And that's the same with America, with the Indians. People would say, "Oh, the racist Americans and the Indians." Like, I don't know, like this one Indian apologist or whatever, like promoting the like Mount Rushmore stolen, that kind of shit.
Please.
It's like, you people, the Sioux, are fucking savages. You savage other Indians, and like, I only listen to the oral history of my people, and it's like, why would white men lie about you slaughtering other tribes, including women and children? They would just, if they were just truly racist, they would just like,
why would they write anything about anybody? Why wouldn't they just kill you and pretend you didn't exist?
Well, or if they write about you, it's just
Yeah.
everyone's just the same fucking thing. They would not.
That's what like that's what
distinction.
the old world did. Like, I mean, that's what Islamic invasions did for like 1,000 years. They would just go somewhere, destroy every single thing, and pretend that place never existed.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've actually got to run, man. I've got to jump on another one.
Oh,
But,
who you streaming with?
Master Swag King invited me on tonight, and I figured,
Oh, really?
oh yeah,
He's a
super
riptard.
he's a super nice guy. Y'all would get along just fine, man.
I don't know. I've watched a couple of videos, a couple of streams.
Man, he's a funny dude.
He's funny. I'm not saying that as like, oh, I'm so like he's a funny little riptard.
Well, I've got to pimp my book.
Yeah.
Otherwise, my artist will hit me, and because I don't pay him. But I've enjoyed this. Let's because once my book promo stuff in January is over, I have way more time to do actually talk fun stuff instead of just pimping my book. Let's like February, I want to go through like Snyderverse with you. I really want to like get like a 2 or 3 hour one, like let's say like 8 to midnight or something.
Yeah, that can work. Especially I think next month I'll be on night shift, so yeah, I'll be up all fucking night.
Yeah, I am gonna say Master Swag's a nice dude. Y'all should get along. Come on my stream.
My knowledge,
we can just talk about.
I'm not opposed to engaging any riptard, but that's how I know him, and like we're on polar opposite ends of the spectrum.
I think you're both on the spectrum. All right, man.
No, you gotta have fun, and yeah, totally. Like if you want to table an engagement and be the moderator for whatever terms, like I'm totally down for it. Especially February, it'll be post Riley trial against Eric. So.
Well, I figured it was Black History Month, so you know.
Oh, even better sell for you. Yeah, even better sell for you.
I think between the both of you, you might have gotten a vote back in the day.
It was 3/5. So
I'm not doing
two of us. You get 2 of us. It's 6/5. So 6/5.
Which are half though. So what's half of 3/5?
Well, I mean, he's probably got at least 20% white somewhere in his lineage. That's kind of like the average for black people in America.
Well, you're judging me by the one drop I got. So
well, you people made the rules, so.
Oh, this dang Macedonians. All right, I love you, Angus. I'll holler at you, man.
Yeah.
Peace, chat.
Well, we'll carry this on later. I'm disappointed though. Disappointed he had to leave because I never got fully through the Snyderverse conversation. We'll have to table that for another day. But he definitely like gave me some, I don't know, dialogue, or gave me a way to kind of try to encapsulate my thoughts in words about some of my disappointment, or like that's why this doesn't work fully, because Snyderverse, his first 2 films, Man of Steel, BVS Ultimate Cut, are really profound comic films. The third acts are shit, but he really made a story. I think BVS doesn't quite work because it's like disjointed and like whatever the fuck narrative he's trying to fully portray. But you see all these films today with comics, and it's just like formula. I'm not saying Marvel formula. It's just like, I feel like you run through the motions, you're waiting for this part, and then we do the action and low point, and we figure out some sort of ace in the whole plan, and then haha, we won, and the good guys, And it felt like Snyder was trying to break the mold of comic films for that point. And it's like it's a refreshing film to watch despite whatever disappointment you have watching those films, with like the portrayal of the characters you like or whatever, what you knew about them. You can appreciate the daring Snyder had to like not just try to recreate and not be subversive either, like Ryan Johnson. Like I do, even if you hate how he portrays Superman or Batman, I think you can't deny he does love these characters. He reveres them. These are his gods. I think he does worship comics to some degree. And I'm not saying it's a good or bad thing. I'm just stating like a perception of him. So I think he reveres these stories and these characters and the meanings of them. Um, but yeah, they don't resonate for the majority of people. It's why he's gone from DC comic films. But yeah, I see you, Keely Chow. And I'm disappointed Cowboys aren't in the playoffs just because it's better when they lose in the playoffs. That's so nice. It's so sweet and delicious. But it is funny when you have these low points where you just absolutely suck. Irrefutable. There's no we dumb boys opportunity. You are not those boys yet again. Another year wasted. The crushed souls of Cowboy fans. It's nice to see. Falcons. I kind of just hate the whole NFC South. Fuck all of them. It's in between the Panthers and the Saints for the worst of those. Falcons, I guess, would be the least worst option. But I like Baker Mayfield, so Boomer Sooner. It's one of those. It's like Dirk Nowitzki. I hate the Mavs, but I'm glad he got a ring. He deserved it. He's a good guy. So if Baker got a ring with the Bucks, I would at least have that perspective. Like, well, Baker got a ring. Sad it was with the Bucks, but yeah. Not been watching football lately. I've been watching football pretty much all year. It's hard to get a routine and then be aware of, I'm always aware of football like every week, like fuck, shit, it was Sunday, damn, I didn't watch any game, I could have went to like the bar or something. Yeah, thank you, Godful. Of course, love having you on, Dan. Tevin says physical versus digital. Well, no, digital is great to have for like mobility, but no, I'm all about physical. It's unfortunate that the convenience has been interpreted by Hollywood to just kind of erase physical. And then you have the downside too of like, how would you say, erasing problematic scenes retroactively, and new generations won't know any different. It's kind of like I grew up with Ace Ventura on TV, never saw it unedited. So when I finally saw it as an adult with like the trans reveal at the end, I was like, what? That's the end of the movie? Oh my God. I had no idea. Oh, cool. Yeah, I do like the Rome show. I've watched some videos about historians just gushing over it for how in depth they portrayed some real historical facts, but it's all right. It kind of loses the appeal of the second season for me. But Ray Stevens and the other guy becomes kind of like they're just comedic, kind of like they do give them some depth beyond what Caesar wrote of them, because I know they're based on some characters Caesar wrote in his biographies or whatever. But I don't know, just something isn't quite right with their story in the overarching narrative. Seems kind of like a distraction. And then it's kind of like, I know they did this comic with Star Wars long ago where these stormtroopers happen to like actually be around like all the major events of the films, and it's like a comedy from an outside perspective. That's what they feel like. I'm not sure how often it's been in history of literature. I'm guessing it might be like a Shakespeare gag or something, if I've heard that right, but I don't know. Yeah, Baker should have been the man in Cleveland. Yeah, I've argued this. I've had all these Cleveland fans like, Baker sucks. It's like, dude, he got you your first playoff win in like 30 years. And the next year, he plays broken and almost gets you the playoffs. And then you throw him away for Deshaun Watson, who sucks. Now you get what you fucking deserve. Dude, you gotta bring this up with Rookie. Rookie loves Spartacus. I've barely watched the show. I like what I've seen, but have not gone through the show. I know the original actor like died, so that's what kind of like shook things up, their narrative they're delivering. But that's another one that surprisingly, from what I've watched YouTube, has some real historicity you wouldn't expect from like a kind of gore and smut show. Oh, they got the trailer out? Fuck no, I have not seen that. But yeah, I guess we're not going to talk about Modesty in church. That's what I was wanting to ask Dan about, because me not being Christian, where I saw this this thing going around, this picture of this chick kneeling in like prayer or whatever, like I'm assuming Catholic church. She's wearing like a basically backless like whore garb from the club or something. And I'm just like livid seeing that, like, get the fuck out of here, you know? And my whole thing's like, would you go to a mosque like that? Just walk up to any chick at a club, like if you interview them, I'm pretty sure they know, like, oh, you don't go to a mosque like that. Like that should be the standard for church, is that same, oh, I got to go a certain way. I have to have a minimum degree of respect in my attire to go to church. And I see that I'm just not even being Christian. I'm just like livid seeing that. Like, I wouldn't go to church after not being Christian with such disdain or disrespect for the setting. You know, it's a holy place. Show your fucking respect, bitch. God, that gets me. But we will be talking Goodyng. I've just gotten to the point in the Trash Cast review, EVS, where he's starting to open it. And so you're going to hang out with me, react to it fresh. If you want to join the stream with me, interact, you know, bounce ideas off each other, then let me know in the chat. I can see a link on Twitter. At Angus Reviews on Twitter, X, whatever. But we'll be looking at that because I love watching EVS reviews of fucking Eric books, of Rippaverse books. They are so fun, and we're going to get to that. Shit. Okay, so let me pull this up, and we will do so. Yeah, and thank you all for being here. Be sure to share this out, smash subscribe, and hit the like button. If you don't mind, help me with the algorithm. Here we go. Make sure it looks good over here. What do you mean you're welcome? Yeah, and how you doing, Keely? Hope everything's going well despite the sorrow you have in your NFL life. Let's get to it. EVS. Make sure we got it going a little faster. There we go. Let's get into this.
And then I decided I'll catch him next time. Ridiculous. Goodyng catch him the next time. I remember at the time, too, I said I better go because he's probably going to kill himself. I don't know why I thought that. But I was exactly right. He did. By the way, spoiler alert, he did end up killing himself. Goodyng the Polymath. I did read this. Here's the thing. This is written by, full disclosure, my friend Mike Barron, who was a Comicsgate king. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to review it anyway. You know what I mean? Will Conrad, who, when I saw this, my initial thoughts about Goodyng the Polymath were that this was going to be a superior Rippaverse book, that it was going to be the best thing that they put out for the two reasons which are right here. Mike Barron.
Just so you know, I have not watched this. I literally just got to this point. So this is a true reaction to EVS. Reviewing this, I expect a lot of hilarity and just maybe throwing shit at the just shock at the writing. Maybe you saying this, if you haven't, will understand my chagrin with the Mike Barron, and I do not get the praise in the current day, because I've read Goodyng and I've read Bronze Star. And if that's what I'm supposed to be going off of, like, yeah, Mike Barron, yeah, it's like, dude, fucking retire, dude. Don't got it. And I will proclaim that against all of Comicsgate. That's how you know I am the real deal, because I will not shield just because you say Comicsgate, or it's, you know, that doesn't give you shielding when you make shit stuff for Rippaverse. And it's not even about Rippaverse. I was actually expecting this to be good, hearing all the praise of Mike Barron. I thought it's going to be a turn for the Rippaverse in the right direction narratively. And I was shocked. It's actually worse than I saw him narratively. And that's what's shocking, is this legend Mike Barron. Don't see it. Got a ways to go to disprove me on Mike Barron. I will never stop shouting the dismay at his writing. And hopefully you'll all start to understand having seen this. Yeah, he went to the red marker. It says shifter. And thanks, Dan Alvin, as well, for popping in. Appreciate hanging out. I just know him from 30 to 35 years ago. I read his Punisher and Nexus every month when I was younger. Yeah, so I read the first issue of his Punisher, which is fucking awesome. I'm assuming he was trying to channel some maybe Scarface fandom. Not a Scarface guy myself. I don't care, but I feel like how he was banking that at least first arc is inspired by that being a big thing a few years before. So yeah, that's the weird thing too, is like I've read the first Punisher, Mike Baron, and then I read Goodyng and I'm like, what the fuck happened? So yeah, trading off the name. Exactly. It's like I'm an AC/DC fanatic, obviously, and so I was excited for like Black Ice and then Rock or Bust, and it's just like, okay, yeah, you're just coasting on your name now. It's disappointing. We should hold people. George Strait had the same thing. I grew up in Oklahoma. I grew up with country, and so George Strait was like a fawn artist. At some point after like 2000, the dude fucking fell off for like the style he did, what he's good at. He just went completely fucking dry, and it's just a name now, so seems to be a recurring theme with long-staying artists is that they just trade off their name, as Shifter pointed out. Yeah, let's continue.
And as the writer, and then Will Conrad, the artwork that I saw of his looked better than anything else. Barring Kanan White. I'm a Kanan White fan. I like Kanan White's work. I think sometimes his work can look distorted and weird. He makes some anatomy mistakes, but we all do. I like the way he draws everything. He's not using too many artifacts. I respect Kanan White quite a bit. I think his stuff is exciting and fun, and he's good enough to work at Marvel and DC, which to me is high praise. Like, he's got everything he needs to go work at Marvel and DC. They've given him some work over there, but for some reason he can't get his hooks in. I don't understand why he can't. He needs to go over there and just take any job he can get and then get his hooks in over there. Get away from Rippaverse. Well, maybe Rippaverse is paying him better. I don't really know. But all right, I don't know who did this cover here. Somebody named Evan. The guy's probably actually named Ethan, and for some reason, they call him Evan. That's probably what's going on there. This is clearly the actor who plays Captain America in the MCU used as reference. And this, of course, this robot, which doesn't appear in this book that I can remember, was borrowed from Star Wars. So you know what I'm saying? Like, that's this is clearly like somebody took this robot from Star Wars. So that's where this cover comes from. It's not a bad cover. It's nicely laid out. It works okay. It wouldn't make me buy the book, that's for sure. But I mean, you know what?
I called this an AI cover, which triggers Renown Zero, because I even say like it probably is drawn, but the style looks like AI today. So it looks like an AI prompt. So just not a good image to sell, in my opinion. But I think this was the cheapest cover, so that's what I grabbed.
What would mostly not make me buy the book? The title, Goody. I'm not going to say that. Black Angus Reviews realized that the book was called Goody, and then this NG, which you could pronounce like the first syllable of a slang word, a slur for African Americans. Goody. NG, but this guy's a cracker, so it doesn't really make sense. Like, he's not that. This guy is not, but he is a goody though. He's definitely a goody two shoes. Goody nag, yeah, goody nag would be better. All right, so not crazy about the cover. There's something. By the way, the Rippaverse ethic is the first thing that's in all of these books. Eric July kind of started his company by telling everybody that he was going to do things differently than Marvel. He had something called the Rippaverse ethic. Respect the customer is a Comicsgate credo. Respect the customer in word, thought, and deed. And respect the customer, whatever that means. Whatever that means to you. Like, you can bring that up. Canon and continuity. Eric promised. I guess one of the things that annoyed him about Marvel and DC is their disrespect for continuity, constant reboots, et cetera, et cetera. He says he's going to do better than that, but the thing about that's retarded is your company is new and you've only put out 4 books, actually maybe 5 books. You've only put out a handful of books, and so therefore, this has not become an issue yet. Like this is not an issue right now. Now come back to me if your company were to survive for 20 years, which I'm not going to say nothing. But if it were to survive for 20 years, you could come back to me in 20 years and say, see, we did no reboots. We stuck to continuity. We stuck to everything that we'd already established. We never changed anything. We are on ISOM number 100 right now, and it's just been consistent. No changes, no reboots. Now, that would be impressive. You telling me at the outset of your company that you are going to stick to canon and continuity means nothing. That is a promise that you may or may not be able to keep. But right now, it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. I don't even know if I'm invested. I don't know if I care right now. A comprehensive timeline, which is all part of this. It's the same kind of thing. Like, no, there's a comprehensive timeline. But, I mean, really, I don't know if that matters either too much. It's an interesting thing. I think this refers to his idea that Jim Shooter created something that felt kind of real, where you would go and buy Marvel comics, and they all seem to be happening in the same world on that same timeline. But again, you got 1 or 2 books coming out a year. These are not relevant factors. You don't need to say things like this. Cato Gooding, it says here, nice description of the book that we're going to read. Cato Gooding is the eclectic genius of Flores Park. Well, get ready. His Gooding services came to save the day when Avery Silman's ranch was attacked in a blaze by the mysterious creatures known as the Devilings. But how did this man go from childhood prodigy to self-made man? This is his story, from underdog to hero. Okay, now, Eric makes everybody write. I'm going to read this. I normally don't read these,
if you don't,
but I'm sick of it already, because this is now a consistent thing that he makes all of his creators do. You must write a page. You must write an elegy to Eric July. You must sit there and write an ode, a poem to Eric July, and it is really fucking obnoxious. This guy is a bearded goofball imbecile with absolutely no talent whatsoever. And these comics are terrible, but everybody who is privileged to work on them must write this kind of an essay before you even. This is the most shameless thing in the world, and you can't just say, well, hey, maybe one of them had the idea. Like, maybe Chuck Dixon was like, you know what, I'm going to write it. Eric, do you mind if I take the first page and I write a little essay about Rippaverse and what I think of you and your mission statement here? Do you mind if I do that? You might say, okay, that's just Chuck Dixon that's doing that. But every writer so far has done it, which means Eric is asking them to do this. Every writer, this is not normal. They don't do this in other comic books. They don't you don't do that. You don't get in a Marvel comic and then get a full page like this. Here's a note from Mike Barron, legitimizing the publisher, the editor, the person who's paying me. I want to just kiss his ass a little bit. They don't do this in any other. I've never seen this. Did they do this at CrossGen? Did everybody have to suck up to the guy who started CrossGen? I don't think so. It's like a foreword. Yes, Last Shadow. It's a foreword, but not a foreword to the book. It's really a foreword about how great Eric July is. Okay, here we go. Hey, Mike. Yo, this be Eric July. I'd like you to write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 paragraphs explaining how you feel about me. Okay, boss. I didn't know who Eric July was. Listen to this. The shamelessness of publishing this. I can only think that Mike Barron is laughing as he's writing this. Because if somebody wrote this about me, I wouldn't publish it. And I'm somebody with a big ego. I would never publish this about myself. Unless I was joking. If I published this about myself, there would be a big human sunbeam behind it with me like this. It would be clear that I was being a comically silly egotist. But there's no sense that Eric July finds any of this funny or embarrassing or shameful. He just publishes it. I didn't know who Eric July was until he burst forth one day like Athena out of Zeus's skull. Only Eric wasn't just Athena, he was Hermes, who first realized we needed a new publisher, I mean God, and told Hephaestus to split open Zeus's skull so that Athena might be born. Eric was all of these Greek gods rolled into one. Rippaverse was his Athena.
You know how gay that fucking sounds? But it's not ironic. It's like, or effeminizing, because even though Athena's the goddess of wisdom, it's like, well, I don't know, call yourself Athenos or something, masculinize it as like a prodigy of her, a follower. Don't. Jesus Christ.
This is what it says. Anyway, I'm not going to do any of this. It goes on and on. I'm not going to read any more. That is this opening paragraph sums it up. That is a shocking thing for Eric to publish about himself. It's a really shocking thing, and poor Mike having to say that.
I encourage any of you to either go back to my review of Goodyng with Rookie. Can we go through the whole fucking page? Or, buy it. It might be on one of the free websites to read comics. I highly suggest reading that opening Mike Barron page, because it is just like he even indicates that like Texas isn't just its own state, and then there's America, that like America is broken up into like several countries now, like clusters of states. And we haven't gotten that in the books yet. We've only known about Texas kind of offhand is a country now, like when it started. It's just baffling. And even in the book, when we go somewhere else, we don't really understand that that's another country. You're reading is like, oh, that's a part of America. So it's baffling, but it takes a while to get to that, and it's just meandering, and it's like saying this like kind of Comicsgate shit. It's really weird. I don't know if it was a joke or not. It's really baffling though. Hold on.
I mean, I have not seen anything. I mean, that is Stockholm syndrome or something. That is insane. There's no possible way that anyone thinks that Eric July doesn't know who any of these characters are. He doesn't know what the fuck you're talking about. All right. So here we go. So we're going to get right into this book here. Mike, my impression of this book is now Mike Partika, who is one of the greatest reviewers of Rippaverse comics. Not so much of Cyberfrog comics. He's usually silly and wrong about Cyberfrog, but this book blew his mind. Like, Mike Partika stopped even bothering trying to defend Rippaverse comics at all after reading this. And I knew that. I remember that he had that perspective. But then again, I thought Mike Partika might be kind of exaggerating. And I think he was exaggerating. Mike Partika said, I just give up on life, after reading this. I think he was exaggerating. I really don't think that it was anything near as bad as all that. It wasn't so bad. It was misguided, and it was Mike Barron writing kids, young people, from his 70-year-old perspective. You'll see what I mean in a little bit. All right, so you got Goodyng, young Cato Goodyng, who lives in this very modest neighborhood. You got a black man with an afro who's walking his dog down the street here, down the sidewalk.
Never even
you already
realized
know
that.
It's not that great of a neighborhood, okay? And he's sitting in his bed here, and he's reading a comic book, and he, comes down to the table. What did you do in school today? Now, I will say this about Mike: like, the dialogue throughout this comic book is very simple. Mike just keeps it basic, which is a lesson. I like the idea. It reminds me of 80s comic books. Just be direct. Just explain as simply as possible what's going on. Have the characters kind of say only what's necessary to be said. Let me get rid of this right here. Hold on, stop screen. Is that gonna? Yeah, I got rid of that. Okay. Don't do too much. Don't be too flowery with the language. Mike might be taking that a little too far. Mike might be a little too simplistic with the language. Coming, Mom. And then we're at the table. What did you do in school today? He says, reading, writing, arithmetic. What kind of arithmetic? Calculus. So we got this little boy here, and he is doing calculus. So clearly, this is a high IQ kid. Dad is acting like this is the first he's ever heard of that. I seriously doubt they're teaching calculus to fourth graders. Sir, this is your son. You've known your son now he's in fourth grade, so he's 9 or 10. You've known him for a decade. You don't know that he's special? You don't realize that he is a super high IQ? And the school would be telling you. The school would be saying, your son is advanced. He is going to, we're going to be teaching him calculus. Like, you of all people would know. You are not a stranger to this boy. You know, hopefully, everything about his schooling. So that is a mistake. I saw that and I said, why is Dad so distant from his kid? Like, your kid, you know what his IQ is, right? You know how they're treating him in school. He says, I'm learning limits, differentiation, integration, and multivariable, which is not really an answer to this question either, where it's like, they're not teaching calculus to fourth graders. The kid should be saying something like, well, Dad, I'm not an ordinary fourth grader. as you well know. Hey, Dad, my IQ is 192. I'm, as you know, for some reason, you're a moron, Father, but you somehow bred and created a kid with an IQ of 197. And I know, you know what I mean? Okay. See that this is not an answer to this. It should have been like, yeah, I'm not an ordinary fourth grader.
This is what's fun about you. Sometimes he disappoints me with these Rippaverse reviews because he'll like skip something in the plot that's actually like just a total fucking facepalm, and he just turns the page, never even acknowledges it. But then other times he gives you this insight and story or analysis. That's the other thing. Sometimes because he's an artist, he'll get distracted with the art in ways that obfuscate the break down the narrative. Like that's really what the review should be about, or break it up. We're like, hey, art review, story review. But just hearing this insight about like, yeah, right from the get-go, already derailing the train here. And it's just fucking great.
Right? It's like, I don't go to fourth. Dad, they're not teaching calculus to fourth graders. Dad, I'm in college. I'm 8 years old and I'm in college, Dad. Why would he be in the fourth grade anyway? Yeah, all right. Calculus isn't arithmetic. A genius kid would know. That's another thing. Yeah. It isn't arithmetic, is it? So it's a little weird here. Most of the criticism that I have to offer is about Mike's writing, which is not something that I want to do. Why weren't we informed? Oh, okay. So here we go. Why weren't we informed? Mr. Risk says to keep it to myself. The other kids might get jealous. No. Yeah, maybe the other kid. No, that's not how school works. It's not about hey, keep it to yourself. You're not in fourth grade. You're not with the other retarded kids who were. No, I was advanced. I got offered to be scooched up a class, and I was, and they just let you know. They just go, you're going to skip a grade. It's a fact. You're not in fourth grade. You're in sixth grade, even though you're 2 years younger or you're whatever. They move you ahead. They advance you. They don't keep it a secret. How could they keep something like that a secret? You have to pretend to be stupid. I don't have a problem with it. We're proud of you, son. Mr. Risk says he phoned you and left a message. These parents are clueless. What are you talking? None of you guys know this, huh? You really should check your messages, dear. You didn't know our child had 197 IQ. Have you checked your messages? Clear out your email. Why don't you call Mr. Risk and set up a meeting? See, all of this just seems like, what? Because it's just like you would know. The kid, they're his parents. They didn't adopt him. They know how smart he is. What for? I approve. Done deal. And here we have another kid who's in the street outside of the house, and the kid is a kid of color. Again, it's important to point out we're in a lower income neighborhood, even though our kid is a fucking genius. To let him know we appreciate what he's doing. Mom, may I be excused? Can you put the dishes in the dishwasher? I'll do it. And then he goes back, and then he's reading that. It's the same panel. He's up there reading his comic again. Man, that is a strange sequence there. My problem with it is that I don't believe any of it. I just don't believe it. I don't think that's how this works. I mean, we're surprised how smart he is, but I don't think Doogie Howser's parents are surprised. Doogie Howser's parents might be pleasantly surprised by certain things that are happening or saying, or that he's saying or doing, that kind of just express how incredibly intelligent their child is. But they're not like, what? Hold on a second. You're a doctor. You're a fucking doctor, but you're only 12. Why weren't we informed? Well, the other doctor said I shouldn't tell the other kids because they'll be jealous. No, that's not how it works. That's just not how it works. All right, so we're in school now. Some decent artwork here. These are, 3D assets. These are constructed cars, 3D assets. The background. I look at this stuff, and I got to say, as an artist, like, I'm really annoyed by it because I refuse to do this. And I know that, like, the fact that I refuse to use 3D assets for backgrounds and for establishing panels like this, establishing shots, I know that it's eating up my life because I will sit there and I will go, let me get a reference for a school. Let me get reference for each of the cars. Let me draw a perspective grid. Let me work it out. And let me draw the entire school. And the school will take me an entire day to draw this panel. But I don't have to do that. Like, I could just use 3D assets and drop a school in, SketchUp, drop the cars in, draw some people, draw the banner that says welcome students, and then just call it a day, draw the tree in the foreground. What would be, 12 to 18 hours worth of work, which is what this is, could be reduced down to 2-3 hours. If only I wanted to do that. I just don't want to do that. Like, that's why I think I'm an old man, because I see this and I'm annoyed by it. And by the way, this is just an intermediary step between this and AI, like just artificial intelligence doing the entire book, which is alarming. So you got this kid who is a super genius. He is in homeroom with other morons. Like, he's just in. Why is he in school in a homeroom class with a kid that would flick a rubber band to the back of his head? Like this would be a mildly smart. Like this kind of a situation where you're a nerd because you're you're getting picked on. You're a little bit different than the other kids. Happens to somebody who's mildly more intelligent. It's like me. I'm mildly more intelligent, but not like I'm no genius. I'll tell you that. Especially I never even went to calculus. I barely got out of algebra. But this is like one of these like I'm being bullied scenarios here. That wouldn't happen to him. He would be protected because he'd be like super respected and hanging out with like the older kids who would be kind of like they'd be like you're kind of a weirdo, but nobody would be bullying him. I don't think. It's just a little bit kind of strange. The bell rings. He leaves, and then this kid here. All right, so these are the two. This is the antagonist. This is the protagonist here as kids. Mike has established, or he's establishing that like the entire conflict of the book happens because of these two characters start engaging with each other, even in school. And so this kid, hey, egghead, he says, as kids do. Grabs him by the shoulder and gives him a nice big punch in the stomach. By the way, Texas has already seceded from the United States at this point. He's a kid. He's going to grow up to be an adult in the space of this book. Texas has already seceded. So that's like 15. Nah, it might not be 15. Maybe it's 10. Let's just say 10 years. So Rippaverse at least has a span of 10 years where from when Texas seceded. I hope that's reflected. I'm sure it will be. But he's like, it's a nice punch in the stomach here. He's on the ground. Nobody cares. And then, of course, a girl comes and goes, are you all right? I will be in a minute. Ron Hodges is an awful bully. And then the teacher comes out. Shouldn't you kids be at your next class? Ron just hit Cato in the belly for no reason. Are you all right? He goes, I'll live. What are your names? Cato Goodyng, Gina Adams. I'll take a look at the video. And if what you say is true, I'll talk to Mr. Hodges. Please don't do that. Why not? I'm not a snitch. I'll take care of it, he says. And the teacher says, don't do anything stupid. What the fuck? He's got to look at the video. It's like a 7-Eleven cam video kind of to make sure that he really did get, because he could have been making that up, but he got punched in the stomach by that kid. Oh, God.
Another 3D
Throughout
card.
the book, this little boy is making choices like he is Mike Barron, like he is a 70-year-old man. And you'll see what I mean by that in a little bit. Like these are not kids' choices. These are not smart kid choices either. I mean, not really. Hey, don't worry. What are you going to do? I'll appeal to his better nature. This is, by the way, the art gets a little funky here. The art gets a little weird. The artist here is obviously a big fan of Mike McCone. Throughout this book, I was like, oh, look, Mike McCone drew this. But this is just a guy who draws like Mike McCone, who was a Marvel and DC artist. He drew Teen Titans back in the day. When I was drawing Green Lantern, I think. He drew... he's one of these guys. He had a really big hit with Teen Titans because he was working with Jeff Johns. And then his Teen Titans was really good. And then he kind of... Marvel recruited him. And Marvel put him on Fantastic Four. And Fantastic Four, for some reason, has always been, since John Byrne left in the 80s, just a place, it's a black hole where artists go to just disappear. And it's a popular book, or the characters are popular, but nobody's really been able to make a mark on that book. Like, you just go there and you just vanish. So Mike McCone killed his own career by leaving Teen Titans and going to work on Fantastic Four. It seems like a lateral move, but it buried him. Anyway, he later wished dick cancer on all of Comicsgate. That's Mike McCone. We had to raise money for charity.
I know, right?
For men's penile cancer in Britain. There's a kind of stunt over that. Nice guy.
This is the value of watching EVS reviews, is like you'll unexpectedly get these comic insights that you kind of need a delivery system like this review to hear. It's not just going to be everyday talk. And that's what's fun about EVS. Like he's reviewing these, you get like, oh yeah, looks like this artist, and you start talking about a comic book or something that you may not be aware of. So, and I never pretend to be a comic expert at all. I mainly a movie guy, and that led me to Star Wars, Phantom Menace, and that's how I found EVS. So I'm always like a movie-based guy, plot, So art, I want good, like classic DC kind of realistic art, like EVS does. But that's second after the story. I'll put up with art if the story's good.
All right, so once again, he punches him and makes blood come out of his nose the next day. Same thing. Every day he shows up and punches him in the stomach. The girl says, "You're such a creep." And then this guy says, again, like, it's just a kid. He goes, "A girl with your looks, what are you doing with a loser like him?" Really just seems kind of adult thought process. "How long are you going to let him do that?" And he goes, "That was the last time." So what is his plan? This guy's a genius. He's got a plan here. "Mom, do you have any thumbtacks in the kitchen drawer?" So he's going to take a piece of plywood and he glues thumbtacks to it, and he's going to put it under his shirt. How do you like that? Put a board, with thumbtacks on it. So punch me in the stomach again. It's going to hurt both of us this time. All right. So he's wearing thumbtacks under his shirt. Who knows what Potemkin means? Anyone? Now he's back in school. This is kind of weird. I don't really get this. Who knows what Potemkin means? Anyone? Anyone listening? Goodyng? And Goodyng stands up and says, "Sir, it's a metaphor that carries the ultimate purpose of providing an elaborate facade designed to hide an undesirable reality." This is hibbity-jibbity. It's very Art July.
I think they're talking about Potemkin, the film, the Russian communist propaganda film, Battleship Potemkin. It's a legendary film. I suggest you watch it. It's really good. The Godfather made reference to it with some of the step scenes at the end. Yeah, very foundational progression of narrative delivery in film, Russian film school product. You should definitely watch it if you like film history. It's a very compelling narrative, even though it's, I don't know if it's silent film or foreign language film. I can't remember, but I remember seeing it in a film class, and I was just like, "Fuck!" But it's just weird making like 12-year-olds watch it. Like, I don't even think a smart 12-year-old would appreciate the art, even if they could have this adult recitation. It's fucking weird. So, excuse me, EVS knowing Mike, and then kind of having like a behind the curtain understanding of this writer adds a little perspective. Like, this is fucking weird to make for a kid story, a kid origin. Just reading it was already weird, but like his insight, like, oh, this is a fucking old guy. Like, yeah, this is fucking cringe.
And then another panel where nothing is being said, but his hand is out. Like, should this balloon carry over here? Like, why is he just standing there with his hand out? He's gesturing at the bully, I think. But like some of this dialogue probably ... and then carry this part over here.
Wait,
I
I gotta read this comment. Dan says, I stopped in for Gal Gadot support, but I missed the earlier part of the show. Lol, tired of people telling me to stop wishing for Margot and Gal in a blockbuster Harley and Diana flick. That'd be Gal Gadot sucks though as an actress. Like, she had one good outing with Wonder Woman 1 and it all went to shit after that. So I don't know. Like, I kind of lean into I had this, if you're newer here, you may not have heard me talk about, I had this when I was in the Army, when I was in medic training in Texas. I'm from Oklahoma, from a little shit country town, and so I didn't have like a big world perspective, and so I had very basic bitch Republican viewpoints, and then I got exposed to the world and college, and then I kind of rounded back to conservatism to some degree. But yeah, at the time I had really no world perspective, and I get placed in a my roommate was this libtard kid with college parents from Colorado, and he was a theater major, so he was a Channel Awesome fan, and he just kind of shit on every movie that I grew up loving or wanted to see or did like, say like Transformers. Always talking to his girlfriend on the phone, bitching about Twilight and feminism, like it not being feminist. And I remember like he hated Megan Fox and Transformers. And I was just flabbergasted. Like, she's fucking hot. What's the problem? And he's like, well, like, watch porn then. Like, if you want hot women, like, and I was just, I couldn't get it. But then it's like, I get older. I'm like, oh, okay, I kind of get that perspective. But on the same hand, like, even though Maggie Gyllenhaal is a good actress, downgrading Rachel from Kate Hudson to, or whoever the chick was, Katie Holmes, to her was kind of an eyesore. It's like, really? Bruce is simping for that? Come on. Yeah, it's a funny dilemma when you get like a hot babe that like looks the part but then can't convey it at all. I'm conflicted because Margot is hot and she's a good actress, and she is Harley. Even in the Harley movie she did great. So that's a weird one for me because it's like, well, that looks good in my head, but does it sound good? I don't know, Dan. I don't know. The fake villages. You talking about the towns? Are you like from New York or something, Shifter? You from the Northeast, where they call towns villages? Let me know. Let's continue.
Instances of this, like in Eric July books, where there was a big instance of this in Alpha Core, where he wasn't reading it, he wasn't editing it properly, and he left an entire panel blank with nothing. There's just no dialogue. All right, let me see. He says, I don't see how you can put up with this much longer. And then he sings, it's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. So this kid in the future is singing 60s songs. Who sings that? It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. What is that? What song is that?
Louis Redding?
Song? And then the bully shows up and he punches him, but now it just fucks his hand up. What the hell? How? He says, how did that happen? And he's bleeding from his hand because he punched the thumbtacks. It's Sam Cooke. Sam Cooke. Yes, it's like yeah. Okay. So it's the 1960s. This kid likes 1960s music here. Sam Cooke, man. And which is, I mean, this is like something that this is, by the way, this is Mike Barron. This is what Mike Barron would do. Like Mike Barron would behave this way on Comicsgate Kings. He would just kind of, anyway, he's bleeding like, my hand is fucked up permanently. You just got like, you'd have like 6 or 7 puncture wounds from a thumbtack, you know, it would hurt, but it wouldn't be like this. And he's like, I'm taking a picture of him bleeding from his hand because he punched me in the stomach. I don't know. Okay. He is 4 years later now. So now he's a senior. He's graduating high school. It took him the entire 4 years to graduate high school. I like this guy right here. Hold on a second. He goes, this guy's like, oh, you want my son that? Oh. I like that guy. He's my favorite character in the book. Hold on. This looks like somebody, like he actually used some reference for this. This is somebody that the artist knows, I guess. Because that's like a portrait of somebody.
I'm gonna have to clip that part. That's gonna be a little super chat cutaway if y'all want. Oh, racist EVS is the best, and I hate that he holds his punches with some vernacular that comes with that. But you know, it's a little bit of the white guilt implicit within you, EVS. Gotta put that away. I'll give you my end pass if you so wish. But Dan, yeah, you nailed it. Exactly. It looks good. It would make millions to have them on screen together 2.5 hours. And yes, Marco personifies her. Did you like the Harley Quinn Fantabulous Emancipation, whatever, Birds of Prey movie? Because I like it. I own it. It's amateur in a lot of ways, but that's the value of DC films versus Marvel. Marvel will entertain you. They will do like tried and true. It's the Disney kind of thing. You know, Thor Ragnarok was shaking things up, and then they're like, do it again, Thor 4. And it's like, oh God, this man, now you ruined it. DC, because they haven't figured anything out besides Batman, which is great. Batman's awesome, but that's all they got. They just keep throwing dildos behind their head at the wall. And I don't know. I feel like Birds of Prey was like a amateur attempt at Tarantino, and I liked it. Despite Mel Gaze, that kind of woke stuff they're trying to tout, it was an all right film. It doesn't deserve the hate it got. Should have made more money. But yeah, it's definitely misdirection to even think to make a Galentine's Day hate men movie in an era post Captain Marvel where we're just fucking tired of that. But I enjoyed it. It had some appeal. Yeah, okay, you're getting it. Second. Yeah, Suicide Squad was fucking great. James Gunn nailed it with that. I didn't expect anything with Polka Dot Man. That was fucking great. The whole movie's a fun time. If anything, the weak point is keeping the flag guy or whatever. I hated him, hate his face, hate him in House of Cards with Kevin Spacey. Guy sucks. I despise his face, his voice, his character. Hate him. Hate him in the Suicide Squad, or no, Suicide Squad. All right, fuck, which one is which? Suicide Squad film. Yeah, Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad was way better. Yeah. Oh, Dan, if you want to like come on, interact, add your commentary with me, let me know. If you're on Twitter, it'd be cool. I can send you a link because I don't want to put it in the chat and just anyone pop in. Yeah, they were horrible. And the old bitch, Rosie, whatever, that was awful too. Yeah, the black chick is Canary. I don't know what they were doing with that. The fucking ugly Asian chick, like Rose Tico Jr. It's awful.
All right, then they're at they're partying. Congratulations, graduates. They're on a lake. And then this guy goes, "Oh, we'd like to offer you a scholarship." He comes up to him personally and says, "We'd like to offer you a scholarship." He says, "Seriously?" He says, "Absolutely. I read your piece on boomboxes. Mike, in 2024, boomboxes didn't exist. Boomboxes stopped existing in 1985. There are no boomboxes. People listen to music through headphones that are cordless. They're wireless. They listen through Bluetooth, and the music comes through their phones, like mostly. There aren't boomboxes." It says, "Absolutely. I read your piece on boomboxes." I said, "What the hell, Mike?" So what is this kid inventing? I read your piece on boombox. This is the genius of this kid here. The dual cassette. Every panel is a boomer box. That's funny. I read this. I said, "Oh no, Mike. Oh no." So what did this kid invent? Well, this kid invented something. He's about to explain it, that I think Mike Barron would want, or any 70-year-old man would want invented. Would this kid want this invented? I don't think so. I don't think this kid would give a fuck. But it's kind of like, you know what? I invented something that automatically pulls up the pants of these black kids who let their pants go sagging around their knees and their underpants hang out. I invented a device which automatically pulls up their pants so they can be respectable. No, this is what he invented. He says, "Don't you hate those things? Boomboxes. You're sitting at a stoplight and a throbbing bass pulls up next to you." Yeah, like, you're listening. You're at a bass, and then like a car. Yeah, I'm mildly annoyed by that, but I don't think that's a good, I live with it. I don't think it's that big of a problem. I'm like, oh my God, we need to do something to stop that. But this kid,
he's a total racist.
He says, "Your solution is ingenious. Have you put it into practice?" He says, "It's just a theory." It's just a theory. Your actual target goes, that isn't a boombox. No, boombox, you're supposed to carry it. So I don't know what he's talking about. A boombox in a car, I guess. But that's actually coming through the speaker system in the car. It's not a boombox. Have you come up with a solution? Yes, the final solution. No. It's just a theory. This is a theory he has about dealing with noisy black people driving their cars and playing rap music too loud. It's a subwoofer. It's a sound system. "Hartman doesn't offer science scholarships, Mr. Broderick. What company are you with? See, that's why we want to recruit you. Would you like a beer?" I'm like, I swear to God, I feel like I have a head wound. Would you like a beer? The guy recruiting the kid
on the beach
offers him a beer. Cato says, "I'm 17. I can't have a beer." Well, let's get some lemonade and a hot dog. You see what I mean? Like, this is like, it just seems like this is Mike Barron here. He's not 17. What the hell 17-year-old turns down free alcohol? Well, the same type of 17-year-old that's annoyed by loud music, subwoofers in black people's car. That's the kid that turns down free beer. Would you like a beer? Yes, I would like a beer, says any 17-year-old in the world.
You're going to love this if you love racist shit. It's kind of, it recurs in this book. It's funny. I don't know why. I don't know what Mike's doing. He's trying to like layer a joke here. Like, I ripped off Eric for money. Look at the stupid shit I wrote. Because I feel like he wrote this legitimately. And that's why I'm like, Mike Barron sucks. Even though it's funny because it's just like someone paid money to have this made and thought, oh, that's what a brilliant idea. A little white kid that's annoyed with boomboxes and loud cars. Not loud motors or motorcycles, but just a loud speaker system.
Oh my goodness. Have you heard of Madwire? Says the bold black guy who is here to recruit this genius child, this prodigy, to his school, to his company, sits down at a picnic table here, and they share a cup of something. They make phones, among other things. Full ride for your masters, including room, board, and a monthly stipend. Let me think about it, sir. And then meanwhile, the other guy, like you're seeing the bully and where he's going, like he joined the military. And in the military, like now, like they have they have duels or something. So they got sticks. And then this is the bully kid. This is the kid who used to punch him in the stomach. He's still got a bandage on his hand, I guess, from punching him in the stomach. And now we're approaching each other with sticks. And then a big black guy goes, "Aye!" as he attacks him and goes wham, and he hits him right here. And he goes, oomph. There, you see his face. Painful. Absolutely painful. Yeah, this is how Elon Musk got recruited. Probably the same. Probably very similar stories there. Show me your war face, soldier. Aye! Let me hear your war cry. Aye! And then they're fighting. Okay, so Bap, he says he hits him in the knee. And then the black guy goes, a touch, I do confess. And he goes, and doesn't say anything. He goes, did somebody miss a word balloon? I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know what's going on with this comic book. A touch, I do confess, says the black man in the military. And then the bully goes, doesn't say anything. Oh. I want so much to not criticize these books. Like I really do. When I read them, I go, okay, like, let me see. Guy from Red Man goes, that's not funny, Ethan. That's not funny at all. That's not funny, Ethan. That's not funny at all, Ethan. How is that not funny? Look at this guy. And then he circles around, I guess, here, and he goes, look at the question mark here. What's going on? Oh, you're still fighting. And then whacks him right in the chin. And that's what you get for doing this. That's what you get for doing this, guys. It's just weird, man. All of this is weird. Scarlet's Letter says, that's a weird error. Not going to lie. Is there no editor? I don't know. But maybe it was meant to be like that. Like maybe he's like, see? But I don't know. It doesn't come across that way. It comes across like it's missing a dialogue balloon. And the black guy's dialogue is really strange. Like that is not how black people speak. That is how an Englishman in 1789 who was practicing the art of fencing might speak. Is this supposed to say a touche? It says a touch. Is it supposed to say a touche? A touche, I do confess. It says a touch, I do. Is it meant to say a touche? I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know. Like, I think if you read that, you just kind of go, well, Mike knows what he means. I don't know what he means, but Mike knows. Hodges, are you okay? Yakase says, absolute Shakespeare, a plague on both of your houses. Yeah. No, there's no accent mark. There's no E at the end. It says a touch. The touche is spelled touch with an E at the end. Touche. A touch is a fencing term, says Randall McCollum. Yeah, I thought so. It's a quote from Hamlet, says Nardo Polo. It's a line from Shakespeare? Yeah, I don't read Shakespeare. Why is he saying, why is this guy quoting Shakespeare? Is there a reason for that? Edit these nuts.
Oh,
okay. Let me see. Hodges, you okay? I'll survive.
Jesus Christ.
Eric. Oh, this is Eric. That guy's name is Eric. He's a black guy, and he speaks hibbity-jibbity, and he is his name is Eric. That's fantastic. Eric disarmed you with a phrase, and took advantage of your hesitation. So he said, a touch, I do confess. Okay, hold on a second. Let's relook at this. A touch, I do confess. He's doing this because he's like, that's Shakespeare. And now, as he's got you distracted, boom, right across the jaw. That's what that is. Hidden Hand Media says, I don't think it's Shakespeare. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm listening to you guys. Touch. No, it's not. It's no, that's not Shakespeare. There's something else. It's
let's look this up.
I'll figure it out. You don't expect. Oh yeah, it is Shakespeare. You don't expect a raw grunt to quote Shakespeare, he said, and then he shakes his hand
Hamlet.
there. So that's what it is. That's what happened there. Why'd you sign up? This is Texas. This is my country. I want to give back. You look at this face here. I want to kill people. So do I. I want to kill people. Yeah, sometimes I do too. Usually when I'm reading Rippaverse comics. Not this one though. All right. So that's what distracted him. Like the guy.
I did like that because that's why I joined the army. I want to go to fucking war. I want to do some Black Hawk Down shit. And I ended up being a medic because the recruiting just fucking got hamstrung after Iraq pullout in 12. Even though we've been there this whole time, but it was effectively it just cut recruiting in half. So you don't need a bunch of ground pounders in downsizing. So that was just funny. It's like, yeah, that's why I joined the army.
Shakespeare, I got it now. Again, it's Mike. Like that's just the same way the kid wouldn't be thinking about boomboxes. This guy wouldn't be thinking about Shakespeare and quoting Shakespeare. He wouldn't know any Shakespeare most likely, but Mike does. All of these characters are kind of like Mike Barron. That's my thing. You have arrived at your destination. Here he is. I don't know. What are they doing here? 2 weeks later, he's sitting with the girl, Gina, and
wait. Does 2 weeks later, does this tie in with ISOM? Like I know he's in ISOM too, but 2 weeks earlier, ISOM 1, we never had resolution. Is this a timestamp? Is this like a real thing to hang our hats on? That's what I'm asking. It's just I'm noticing that now.
And he says, "You want to do something Friday night? Like what? Ultimate Spinach Revival is playing in the Rat's Cellar, which is like, I assume that's a band playing in a venue, because otherwise it feels like I've been dosed. I don't understand what any of these words mean. So it's got to be like, it's a band. Ultimate Spinach Revival would be a band, and Rat's Cellar would be a venue. She says, I can't. I have to serve dinner at St. Bart's. He goes, huh? St. Bartholomew's, the church? Oh, yeah, he says. Why don't you come with afterwards? We can go to Rat's Cellar. Me? Serve dinner? Why not? Because I'm white and male. That's why not. Okay? You want me to spell that out for you? Huh? So here he is. He's serving at a soup kitchen. Hey, Wayne, you doing okay? Never eat it. You doing okay? Never eat at Musco's. My bowels are in an uproar. This is all like a 70-year-old man. Mike, these characters are all you. Never eat at Musco's. My bowels are in an uproar. Wait, what? Wait, I don't want to know. I'm thinking of writing a harsh letter, he says. What will you say? Fuck you and harsh letter to follow. This is the guy whose bowels are in an uproar. That's great, Wayne. And he's still laughing about that later. Like, this is later, out by offense. Fuck you and harsh letter to follow. He used to work at Madwire, got laid off about 5 years ago. What did he do? Comsats and stuff. Okay. And then they're at Ultimate Spinach Revival. And meanwhile, the other guy is actually doing something substantial. He's going to kill some terrorists. As you can see, terrorists look a little like me around the house. Getting shot through the head. And by the way, he steals the money. So he's a criminal. He is sent to jail for stealing money. And then...
well, it's funny. He says he's a criminal for stealing money from terrorists. It's like, well, you could argue he's a criminal for fighting terrorism. What is this World War actually about? Hindsight 2020.
Somebody comes and gets him out of jail because they're going to put him to work doing gay ops. And here he is about to do some gay ops.
No, you missed
Meanwhile,
it.
back to our good guy.
God damn it. Fucking yes.
And here somebody comes and gets him out of jail.
Okay, right here, if you can see, there is black lines in the dialogue. I don't have the book with me right now, but they're like confirming who they are. And so they say like their info, and in their word bubbles, it gets blacked out, like confidential info in a document that has all these redactions in its top secret file. And I don't know if I've ever seen that. I've seen maybe an alien speaking, and they'll like, or a transmission comes through, and it might be saying like words we can read, but then it just turns to like whatever alien gibberish, and you can't decipher. And so that's like maybe part of like a mystery in the plot. I don't know. It's just really weird. It's like, why would you black out dialogue? I don't know. Please let me know if you've seen that before. Because this is what I mean with EVS. Sometimes he misses like really big, like, what is this? And he just breezes by, like, yeah, whatever. And it's kind of like, well, that's like a really big thing to critique. Or I would like to know if you've seen that, because that was really weird.
Him to work doing gay ops. And here he is about to do some gay ops. Meanwhile, back to our good guy. You want to use antimatter to put out fires. Yes, sir. Even the small... So this is Goodyng, who's got the idea to use antimatter to put out fires. Would that work? Would antimatter put out fires? Maybe it would. Sir, kid's still dressing like this, and he's talking to people in fucked up looking offices. Like, and it's like the artist could help out a little bit here. Just a little bit. This guy is the superintendent. Like, this is not somebody who you would be speaking to about using antimatter to put out fires. That would be an Elon Musk type. That would be somebody in a big, gigantic, spacious, weird office in a warehouse. I mean, in a skyscraper warehouse. It would not be this guy. This is the guy that you go to because you got caught jerking off in the boys' room in high school. This is not like the artist could help. Is all I'm saying. You got it. This could be silly, or it could be a little less silly, depending on how the artist presents it. Sir, my research shows that modifying quarks with light below the 380 range will result in a controlled blast with a 250-meter radius. Even if you're right, that's still a pretty big blast. This is a conversation he's having with a fucking idiot. Sir, I believe I can expand it in the event of a big fire, and I'm working to reduce its circumference for smaller fires. And this imbecile, it's brilliant work in either case. You've earned an A, and your semester's only half over. Let me know if you need any letters of recommendation. Why are you offering this proprietary information? Yes, he says, and he kicks up his heels. This kid should be like, maybe this is Rippaverse, though. Maybe this is Forest Park, Texas, where like mediocrity is all around you. Like you can't escape mediocrity. And maybe that's the commentary here. There is no other place to go. You are surrounded by mediocrity no matter where you go, no matter how much you are elevated, no matter how special you are, no matter how good your ideas are, you're still sitting here talking to him. Sir, I found life on Venus. Is that so? Like you're still talking to this imbecile. Meanwhile, over here, you got some experiment. This is the bad guy. They have discovered a couple of things here to give this guy powers. One, there's a superpower that can make your head explode and make you bleed. They use the word spurt a lot in this book. Spurt, like uses that word. And this guy's.
I think what's weird is like this art doesn't really look like the previous art. Like this looks actually drawn, and that's what's jarring about this. At least with ISOM, it's consistently 3D assets the whole time. This is a problem in Rippaverse books. Like the art is just all over the place. Sometimes it's the inkers. Sometimes it's obvious. Like Yairo is obviously a chop shop of different artists drawing shit. Like Joe Bennett definitely drew some stuff. Kane White possibly, and others. And it's just, I don't know, it's irritating because like this panel under his hand, some like halo jumping out looks really cool.
Spurting blood from all of his orifices because of this technology. The other thing that they found, they're dropping in here, stealing this technology, which can make blood come out of your nose and your head. And then I don't know. He has sex with he proposes to Gina finally, and she tackles him at the restaurant like this, and then he fucks her on the restaurant floor. Stop flipping your spoon. I'm nervous, he says. What are you nervous about? This, and he opens up a box of her with a ring, and she goes, Kato, and instantly jumps on him and fucks him on the floor, which is kind of like, holy shit. The ring's from my mom. I'm just nervous that she's not going to like it. I'm sorry to give you the wrong idea there, but and then they got married. They're on a speedboat. Mr. Goodyng, your company's been trying to reach you. Thanks, Emil. What's up, Mr. Quinn? I'm sorry to have to ask, but we have a situation that requires your presence. How soon can you get back here? Spark Industries has announced a nuclear reactor the size of a bread box. But that's my idea. I got an idea, guys. Spark Industries has announced. We have an announcement to make. Listen to this. A nuclear reactor the size of a bread box. So fuck you on what's my line. Is it bigger than a bread box? No. Is it smaller than a bread box? No. I give up. What is it? It's a nuclear reactor. I mean, that would fuck them up on what's my line. And Mike had to have known that because that's one of the questions that they ask. They say, is it bigger than a bread box? No. Is the object that you work on that you sell smaller than a bread box? No. Huh. Is it a bread box? No. Well, then what is it? It's a nuclear reactor. Holy shit. And by the way, he came up with that idea first. He goes, what? A nuclear reactor the size of a bread box? But that's my idea. Do you think they stole it? I'm not reading any more of this. I'm not. I quit.
But you said Mike Martika was wrong. Come on, you gotta read it. It's so good. You gotta get to the knife.
Quietly for a while. All right. No, people are saying you were paid. I was paid. I was paid to review this. All right. So yeah. Oh no, they stole my idea for a pocket-sized nuclear missile. Or something, it's like a nuclear reactor the size of a bread box. Oh, it's brilliant. You know what it is? Like, in order to invent something that's going to take off, you want to take something that's ordinarily really big, like a nuclear reactor, and you want to make it smaller, like midget size everything. All right. They go, hey, that was my idea. My contract has 3 years to go. Oh, they fired him. What did they do? I forgot. We've instituted a top-down security check. How soon can you put your version into production? So your pocket-sized nuclear reactor, we need to get that into production. Mr. Quinn, that was just an idea I had. I don't think we're anywhere near. Spark is already advertising. Anything you need. That's not my area of expertise, pocket-sized nuclear reactors. I specialize in spectrum therapy and disaster mitigation. Drop everything and work on the reactor. Work on that nuclear reactor. Let's get that. Hey, the thing about you disrupting subwoofers in annoying cars, drop that. We got to work on the pocket-sized nuclear reactor. I don't recall submitting a proposal. Everything you do, everything you create belongs to Midwire. It's in your contract. This is like a comic book contract, essentially. Hey, everything that Mike created at Marvel is Marvel's. So, sorry. He says, I'll give you my answer tomorrow. He's riding around his new car. He's got a fucking awesome car. My contract has 3 years to go, just like a comic book contract. It's like 3 years to go. Can they sue you? No, but there's a clause that everything I develop while working there belongs to them, even if I did it on my own time. She says, we have to downsize. You have to downsize? Like, aren't you like a multi-billionaire at this point? Can you tighten your belt a little? What do you mean downsize? Like, you're creating nuclear reactors. I have to go with my gut. I can get funding. Won't you be indebted to them? Life is full of trade-offs. It's never going to be perfect. I'd be in charge. I'd own my ideas. This is all comic book shit. It's like comic book, how that works. I'm sorry, sir. You've been banned from entering. He goes to the, but I work here. Sir, your personal belongings will be delivered to you later this week. He's like been fired, like his cubicle is being emptied out. This is a guy who invents nuclear reactors, but he's been fired, and you know they're gonna send everything that's his there at home in a cardboard box a little bit later. Boom. Jesus, Cato, turn it off. So see, this is what he's doing now. He's bringing his ideas to reality. This is an idea he had when he was a teenager, but like, and then he goes, okay, so he's got a little handheld device here. On, off. Where'd it go? Where did the subwoofer bass Buddha music go? The force field responds to certain frequencies and fries the circuits. I call it bass jammer. So he's created a device that is, you know, roughly the size of it looks like something that would be invented in the 1980s. You know what I mean? But he's created a device that can fuck up your car stereo.
So he's destroying your property. So he's saying like it fries the wires. You can see the frustration EVS has had to deal with putting himself in this position after review this. This is how I felt having read it, where it's just like, this has got to get better at some point. Like nothing's really happened. Like, how does this happen in every book with these people? How is Yaira with the Sauce Scissors like sort of the best book? It has a flow. This is just, what is this? Is this a joke? Like that? That's how frustrating this is.
There.
I don't know how y'all feel.
This device will kill. It will fry the circuits of your subwoofer when you're driving around. You're listening to your music, you know, like I am. I'm driving around the neighborhood. I got the bass cranked up. I'm listening to little Paula Abdul, little music from People of Color. He's a cold-hearted snake. Look into his eyes. Uh-oh, he's been. Oh fuck! Who did that to my radio? I was listening to the Paula Abdul. This guy has, because he's sick of listening to my ethnic music. Boom, 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 boom. Look at this. What are we seeing? People who love their music so much they feel compelled to share it with the whole world. These are concerns of a 70-year-old man. These are not concerned. Yeah, Shaka Khan, let me rock you, Shaka Khan. Oh fuck! People who love their music so much. This is like an old person talking to his old life. You know. Yeah, these people love their music. So listen to that guy in his car next to us, and his pants are sagging down.
I'll tell you what this is like. Let me find it really quick. This is the perfect comparison. Let me see. Wait, what? What the fuck? Sorry, I've seen some of my subscriptions. I think this is it. Okay. Let me scroll by and find it. Here we go. This is what this made me think of. Let me stop sharing. I'll show you all this stuff here. There it is. Right here. Ah, shit, I got it muted.
Hey, why don't you young everybody turn that music down? Neighbors make me sick. Boogie boogie, nigger. Boogie boogie.
That's Mike Barron. That's Mike Barron through Goodyng. What the fuck? Oh, it's so painful. It's so painful. It's so painful that Eric has been gifted millions and like, oh, we're fighting Marvel. Guess what we made? Goodyng. Like, the exciting adventures of Goodyng by Mike Barron, renowned comic creator. Yeah, right.
And then here you go. Here you have a person of color with a massive afro. And his car was just fucked up. It stopped. It stopped. Maybe it's an EMP. Thank you, Jesus. Someone says, this guy's pissed. Just fucking stereo. And he's like so happy like with the invention that he just made. Like, hey man, you just cucked all those black people. How much do you need? How much money do you need so that you can proceed with? You can make this technology better. Maybe we can make it so that no black people can ever play their music, or white people. Or maybe this is we'll just shut down all black music. Period. No matter who's listening to it. Activists are considering a lawsuit against bass jammer inventor Kato Gooding, claiming it interferes with their freedom of expression. Yeah, no fucking kidding me. Gooding's saber, which infuses meat while you cut, is flying off the shelves. So this guy's inventing things. This guy's like a 200 IQ genius, and he's invented a knife which has like a flavoring in the handle. So you're cutting the meat and it's shooting salt and shit and garlic salt into your meat, flying off the shelves. Operators are standing by. Call now. 1995. Buy one, we'll send you another one free. Flavor. It's a saber because you're cutting the meat and it's shooting flavoring into the meat for you. Yeah, good for Christmas. Yeah, by the way, the black guy is saying thank you, Jesus. There are a few mistakes here. The black guy whose car radio got shut down is saying thank you, Jesus. No, this guy's pissed. His stereo. This guy is meant to be saying thank you, Jesus. See this? Thank you, Jesus. That's correct. There are so many errors like that throughout this book. I just kind of no editing at all. 4 easy payments of 1995 says say, guys. I don't mean like to be mean. Eric July is an imbecile. His comics are shit. People say you're saying that because you're jealous because he's making so much money. The money's interesting. I would like to have. I'd like to get funded the way some of the Rippaverse projects are. That's true, I guess. Who wouldn't say that? More money would be great. These books are bad. They're bad. The characters are bad, and Eric has no idea what he's doing. None. And that's just objective. I don't even think it's subjective. I don't think anybody can argue with me. You want to argue with me about this? It's not. This isn't even Mike's fault. Like what you do is you read Mike's script and you go, nope, change that. That's what editors do. Saska sisters are editing this. See what I'm saying? Some of these might be the Saska sisters' ideas. Gooding Co. Now, sir, if something goes wrong, I don't want to be charged with manslaughter. So this guy's taking his money from the knife and from the fuckery here, the thing that fucks up car stereos, and he has become Tony Stark. He's invented a bulletproof suit. He shoots himself in the chest with the gun, and then metal suit doesn't penetrate. That's what he's done with the money. He's made it so nobody can shoot him. And by the way, he needs that suit because he's fucking with like every single black person's car stereo. He better wear that suit all the time. He's going to get shot. Hey,
you that
honestly,
Gooding guy? Yeah. Eat lead, nigga. What? Who thought this was a good idea? This is fucking embarrassing. You see why I doubt any of you fuckers promoting Mike Baron? It's like he had a moment of brilliance to Punisher, fleeting moment, a couple years, whatever. It seems like it was it. I don't know about Flash. I don't fucking care about DC, so never really going to investigate that. But his Punisher's cool, what I read. So what happened is kind of where I'm at. I take this as like this. He thought this was a good idea. It's not a joke. It's not a troll on Eric. I feel like this is, yeah, cool. Here you go. I'm a great writer.
How does it feel watching yourself? I don't relate to this well. So he's got a TV show about himself now. And what he's done now also, he's invented a new thing where he's put like a laser label on fruit so that you don't have to put the stickers on bananas anymore. You know, the Chiquita banana sticker? That's annoying. They're really annoying on tomatoes, because then you have to, tomato skin is so like thin. You're trying to peel the sticker off the tomato and it ends up fucking with the skin of the tomato. That's a serious problem that young people have to deal with every day. And he's fixed that. My laser fruit labels obviate the need for those irritating little stickers. I call it laser appraiser. So laser appraiser. For some reason, this is in quotes. Oh no, she's quoting him. Okay. I call it the laser appraiser. Now she is she's a geyser downstairs. She takes him to bed. She's fucking him because she loves the idea of the fruit. Guys, I quit. I'm not doing any more of this. I quit everything.
Oh, this poor man. Love to see
suffer. All right. every day is hell. Almost done. Okay. Now he's learning how to fight. So come at me, he says. And he's learning how to fight, which is what you need. Because for some reason, he decides he needs to be a superhero. I'm not sure why he needs to be a superhero at all. He's an inventor. You know what I mean? Like, why is he a superhero? What's wrong? I pulled a muscle working out. I don't know why I don't just swim. We have a pool. These are old people problems. These are not young people problems. These are 70-year-old man problems. These are not 22-year-old genius problems. Combat fascinates me. All men. If I'm going to exercise, I may as well learn something useful. Is this because you were bullied in school? Oh, bring that up. Bitch, I am a billionaire. Why are you bringing up me being a kid and getting punched in the stomach by some bully? Like, we're past that. Don't you emasculate me ever again, you fucking whore. I'll defenstrate you right out this fucking window. Hiya, she says, emasculating him and making fun of him. Can you imagine that? Don't you bring up me getting bullied ever again. I'm a billionaire. We're past that. It's good times now. Don't you fucking bring up my past like that. That's what I would say to Andrea.
It's actually
don't you bring up me getting bullied. Don't you bring up me getting bullied by my own chat yesterday again. We're past that now. My own chat calling me fat and gay. Don't you mention that. I'm in denial about it, and we're past it. That was old. That's why I bring up old shit. That was yesterday. She's like, no, it was 20 minutes ago. All right. Can you lower your heart rate further? Hang on. All right, so here's the bad guy again. He's got powers now to blow up people's heads, and he blows up this dog. He makes the dog like pant so heavily and his heart beats so fast. These are old people problems again. And it'd be the worst is if like my heart rate was elevated and my cholesterol was elevated. If somebody had the power to elevate my cholesterol and make my heart beat fast, like my salt intake was 4 times what it actually is, that would be bad. So but he does that to a dog and she vomits. They take the dog away, and then he does it to somebody else. Look at this, touches his head, and then like kills him. And then he invents, this is the bad guy here, these wings that make him fly. But again, like my thing is, the art can either help or hurt. Like, these are silly concepts. I think Mike even knows they're silly. The art can either help it or hurt it. Like, this is not cool. Like, I got those don't work. I got these don't work. They don't work. Don't work. I'm gonna write that down. These wouldn't work because they're just like they wouldn't be able to. No,
it's like a flying squirrel.
So if he's gonna have it, this character is going to invent wings so that he's a glider. You have to create something more believable, and it's not Mike's fault. This is the artist's fault. This looks retarded. He's wearing like no. Create something that looks like it could work. Like the vulture had big wings. You got to do something better than that. I hate to rush things, but we have a situation that's tailor-made for your unique gifts. He says, lay it on me, baby. Lay it on me. I love that. That's a good line. Four Corners District Attorney Paolo Cavallari was found dead this morning of what appears to be a brain aneurysm. Mr. Cavallari was in excellent health. His wife found him after he failed to appear for breakfast. That's when my wife would be like, breakfast is ready. Breakfast is ready. Ethan usually comes running. What happened? Oh, his brain exploded from reading another Rippaverse comic. What's the goal here? Preventing murder. That's always the goal. So he's got a superhero suit, and now not only can you shoot bullets at him, but you can shoot like plasma.
Some of this is just like a total brain dump. Forget it after you read it. It's like, oh yeah, that happened. And it's just delivered so blasé, like, yeah, some guy's head exploded. Whatever. Should probably check it out, I guess. There's just like this is the whole Rippaverse, besides the IRS, seems to have some urgency sometimes. Everyone's just like, yeah, things happening. Oh, I guess it starts with ISOM, where he's like, why the fuck do I care? Oh, I guess I don't let my mom yell at me. I guess I'll check it out. Fuck, leave me alone. Did he not realize everyone hated Last Jedi? Like, he's in the camp of Last Jedi haters. And one of the big things, like, yeah, Luke is just, yeah, I remember Luke, where it's like, I'm going to do anything to save my friends. And he's like, go away. We don't like that. That's not, and don't start a guy's story with that. Gee, like, you can compellingly make that story of a guy's just, I'm done. It's not worth it. I keep at it. Things don't get better. What's the point? You need to have them fed up for a reason. Otherwise, heroes need urgency. They need conviction. Or, the villain has like a inhuman resolve for a thing, and neither one is having that, like, so, sometimes it's like an imbalance in that, and then it kind of shifts or balances out, and you get like the meeting. What is this?
Got him. This is a good panel. Like, this is well drawn here. I saw this in the advertising for this comic, and I said, oh shit, they might have something here. Because I mean, this looks pretty sophisticated. It reminds me of Alpha Flight. It reminds me of Vindicator building his suit. And I used to think Vindicator was a great name, Vindicator. And he was the leader of Alpha Flight. And there are a bunch of panels of him building his suit and testing it out and everything. I think some of them were drawn by John Byrne. They're really cool. So this was inspired by that. And that looks great. Like, this whole page looks great. If you just said, hey, Ethan, this is a page from Goodyng, I'd be like, I would do this. I'd go. I'd also lower my glasses down to the tip of my nose. I'd be like, like that. Because I'm not 70, but I'm 50. You know what I mean? So I would do something like that. Oh, you sure you weren't followed? I'm sure. Keep up the good work. I should have something else for you in about a week. What? And they're talking about killing people in a burger joint like this. A new element, terracinogen. The possibilities are endless. Somebody's walking down the street. Hi, guy. And he comes down here. You see, and he lands. He used his wings. He's like, eh. All you can really say is question mark when something like this happens. Like a bald guy falls down like an angel from the sky. He goes, hi, guy. And then no dialogue, just a smile. Oh. Oh. And then this is what I do to people. There's a handshake for some reason. You smile, and then like, hey, didn't you just fall from the sky? Like, who are you? What's with the tattoos? No, I'm not shaking your hand. Why would I shake your hand? And they do, though. And then every orifice in his face explodes with blood. And he says, hick, and then he falls down dead. And then this is what you do. You pop your wings out and you sort of float away. And then a kid sees you. And there's a shot of, you see the reflection of him in the window. The kid's like, what the hell? Lying on the ground, shook his hand. Like, imagine if this happened. You're a dude walking down the street, and then it reminds me, yeah, and then I'm not gonna. And then the guy just kind of falls down and goes, hi, guy. And then you go, what? And he smiles at you, shake his hand, your head explodes, and then he flies away. So the sheriff shows up at Goodyng's house. Look at Goodyng's house, by the way. This guy's a billionaire. Officers, you were Dean Robbins' employer? Were. Sir, we're sorry to tell you, but Mr. Robbins was found this morning in an alley, stuffed inside a dumpster. He was bleeding from his eyes, nose, and mouth. You want to tell me he just passed away? Sir, we're sorry, but Mr. Robbins passed away. Oh, well. Thanks for the details. This doesn't make sense. The coroner thinks it was an aneurysm. Who stuffed him in a dumpster? The mop. That area's a blackout. Drones don't work here. Did he have any enemies? We deal in highly classified information. I don't think he was mugged. Helga, get me everything. All right. Write down everything by hand. Blah, blah, blah. They have drone footage of what happened here. Oh, my God. And he recognized it. Like, I would not recognize this guy from my childhood. Like, if my friend Vinny Timpanelli from down the street, or, Jack Bonelli, who had all the He-Man toys, if it were like a decade or maybe 15, 20 years later, and he shaved his head and tattooed his face and he was in full body armor, I know those guys, but I would not recognize them. I would not be like, oh, my God, that's Jack Bonelli. I wouldn't know. Oh, my God, that's Vinny Timpanelli. I wouldn't know. Or his brother Lino. I wouldn't know that was Lino Timpanelli. He knows. He goes, it's Ron fucking Hodges from high school. So you're always thinking about high school. Right. We will not rest until he's
That is weird that he's like stuck on this bully. He's already defeated him. The last time we see him, he's vanquished him with his smarts. You want to have this narrative of like the bully lingering in your head your whole life. It too, when the new one, I haven't seen the old one, but there's like the fat kid and he becomes fucking hot and he's successful, but he's got like the fat kid mentality about himself. He's never good enough. He's always self-doubting. And that's probably reinforced by the bullying he had being a new kid and a fat kid at that school in Derry. Doesn't make sense when it's like, yeah, this kid bullied me, and then I fucking showed him or I kicked his ass, and then you're still dwelling on him. And not in the context of like you come across him repeatedly and you're like, yeah, I'm doing better than you, like as bad as Spider-Man 3 was with the Venom plot with Topher Grace, the like sentiment works that like Parker fucked me over. Fucking Spider-Man and Parker fucked them. And then it's like, oh, they're actually the same thing. All right. And I have a perfect thing to screw him over. That makes sense for that to be like a lingering thought all the time. This guy that screwed my life up, you know. Cobra Kai with Johnny, they did so great in that first season to really layer the enmity that Johnny has for Daniel. I was trying to recall the name. I'm like, it's not Ralph. It's what is just any little thought process making any of these could work. You know, like these plot points you want, like it could work if they just had some thought. It's really frustrating seeing like the success Eric has for, like, I don't get why people are rewarding him this long into it of like, oh, it's so good. If anything, us detracting is what helps keep Eric making any money, because we're not afraid to comment and review his stuff and pay for it, to laugh at it or just be bewildered. But it really is shocking, you know, because like, how can you keep pretending this is good? Like, this is just YouTube merch. You're just funding Eric. You're not supporting art that's going to make a difference. This is fucking laughable. I'll take any woke shit from DC or Marvel over this. If it wasn't for the connection, the laughter behind it, like, never touching this shit again. What are you talking about?
Punished the fullest extent of the law. And here he goes. They're going to pay. Wait, they're whatever you paid them to be. Okay, security. So here's his plan. Now he's having, somebody pointed this out, like digital, these are good digital assets here, 3D assets. You got a nice table and an umbrella. This would be really hard to draw this cleanly, this perfectly, but it's a 3D asset, nice umbrella here, nice chairs. And then all you really have to do is draw the person, the people sitting in them, and then the full digital background here. I mean, this panel is perfect because none of it's real. Like the background is fully like 3D. I don't know why I bother. Why do I draw? I don't need to draw. You just do this. He can only kill me if he can touch me. He will come to the auditorium. So he's going to fight him at the high school auditorium, I guess. And so here he is on the stage of his high school auditorium. He has set up a table and a meal, like a gay dinner. Hey, curse word. Come on down, Ron, he says. He's sitting on the stage of this high school auditorium. He set up a table with 4 chairs for some reason and a luscious looking a succulent Chinese meal. And he floats down here with his wings and says, I had to get a tetanus shot because of, he says, come on down, Ron. Who would think that after all these years, I get another chance to punch you out? Remember the last punch, Ron? That was in the gut when he had the thumbtacks. He said, I had to get a tetanus shot because of the thumbtacks. Date night with a bully. This is Magnificent Devil. Learn anything? I heard you found a new element. Way to go, fella. Hey, what say we let bygones be bygones? What do you say? And then he reaches out for the handshake. But man, why don't you sit down and have something to eat, man? We got some nice champagne glasses here. That's pretty clear. We're gonna have some white wine. We got some something. I don't know what it is. I think it is a succulent Chinese meal. Instead of a succulent Chinese meal, he what is going on? He takes his dish and he throws it and clangs it off of his head. And that's just going to escalate matters. I don't know why he set up who's eating. Nobody's eating, huh? Instead of the handshake, clang a dish off the head, off the dome. And then he says whoosh, and he tries to swing, but he doesn't get it. Goodyng pulls out a gun, which you should have done in the first place. Like, what's with the succulent Chinese meal? Just shoot him. Blam, 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 blam. He's like almost impressive. Why would it be impressive at all? He just shot you, but he's wearing bulletproof shit too. And then he punches him, I guess. Slam. There's a long distance between the two here, but he puts his arm like this and then slam. He goes flying, and in midair, he makes this facial expression while bleeding from the nose and somehow bounces off the balcony like John Wilkes Booth. How did this happen? Punched him, and then what is this panel here? In midair while you're getting punched, you're flying through midair, and you make this face, but you don't say anything. There's no dialogue here, and then hop. You're able to twist around and sort of bounce off of Abraham Lincoln's. What is this? And then land back here. You learned to take a punch, he says, and then he says swish. He says swish, and then flings a knife. And he catches the knife. He says, "Ha, nice try." But the knife is booby trapped with spices from the meat. That's why that happened. Slices from the meat right in the eyes. Ah! And then he opens up this, and he's got another gun. Hey, you want to know what's for dessert? This, a tranquilizer dart. That's for dessert. He doesn't say it, but he should have said that. You hungry for seconds? He should have said something like that. He should have said, "Can I tempt you with dessert?" He should have said something like that. He didn't say anything. He could have said anything here. The James Bond opportunity. Guys, can you come up with like a line for this? Like, he's already down. He's got meat sauce in his face. He's got like some. He pulls out a tranquilizer dart gun and then shoots it. Fwit. What would he say there? Can you come up with a witty and clever line? That's up to you guys. It's not here. He should have said knife try. Up here, knife try. Should have been when he catches the knife. Would you like a second serving? Looks like you needed seconds. Tranks are best served cold. Time for the main course. See, these are all. Can I eat dinner mint? Dinner's not over yet. Yeah, there are tons and tons. You just got served with spices, says FP Sonny. I'll have what she's having. You've been assaulted. Yeah, these are all good lines, guys. You could have said bon appetit. There are all these different things, but you didn't say anything here. You should have. Damn it. That's infuriating. The trank will wear off in an hour. Don't touch him. He can induce an embolism through contact. Is he one of these specials? I don't know what he is. He works for procurement in Pueblo. He murdered my assistant. He used our technology to transition. Whoa, to transition. Procurement used technology they stole from us. The cop says to the super genius inventor, "Don't do anything stupid." Same to you, you donut eating fucking pig. I smell bacon. Oink, oink, oink. Fuck you. My IQ's 200. I invented a knife that shoots gravy into meat. What did you do? Nothing. You ate the meat. What kind of security do you have? We provide our own security. Do you think that's a good idea? Sir, I was confident I could subdue Hodges without help. Again, undermining him. Don't make a habit of it. What are you talking about? I'm going to go into business doing this. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't care about comics. I quit. Good evening, he says. Suddenly he's a hologram. I'm Cato Goodyng. From now on, this guy's like now he's taken over. Okay. From now on, he says, Goodyng Services will extinguish fires in this county. When you call the fire department, it will go to us. This guy is subverting the fire department. He's saying, when you call the fire department, your call will be rerouted to us using the same technology that I invented to shut down your subwoofer in your car. Yesterday, a fire broke out at Cowboy Condominiums. This guy put it out with these drones. Hooray. The killer, known as Splatterpuss. So that guy's name was Splatterpuss. We just, Splatterpuss.
Splatterpuss.
Splatterpuss. Sounds like a menstrual issue. It's just not the best name, man. All right, officers, I'm relieving you on whose authority? Texas Rangers. Took you long enough, he says. Let's go. A lot of Rippaverse books were about getting a new suit. Mr. Goodyng, earlier this evening, Ronald Hodges escaped from the hospital. Come in, officers. How did he escape? Some guy. How did he escape? Some guy. He was wearing a scrambler, knocked out the cameras. Splatterpuss is too valuable an asset for procurement to leave behind. Thanks for telling me. We're providing you with round-the-clock protection. That won't be necessary. How's that? Criminals must know that we're not only impervious to their attacks, but we'll meet any transgression with a swift and commensurate response. Thanks for the heads up, guys. Thanks for the coffee. The end. And then here we go. Up next is Horseman. But we already read Horseman, you know. Welcome to Flores Park. Ripazine, Volume 2. I'm today on this show. That was my review of what is my review? My review of Goodyng is that Mike Barron is a good writer. This is a very silly concept. Mike Barron had trouble writing young people and their concerns. And I just hate every single Rippaverse book. And I mean, if they were good, I guess I would like them, but none of them are good. Today, I am offering you an opportunity to have me review, if you enjoyed this review, Ripazine number 2. Now, we did review Ripazine number 1. In order to do that, it's just $500 in super chats. Let me see where we are. I don't even know where we are with super chats. But $500 in super chats, and we'll do the Ripazine 2 review next week. I will get a copy.
Oh my God, I'll have to catch up on that after. But no, I wanted to sit through with that because I love EVS reviews, and I was very interested to see how he would feel about this. And some of those pauses were fucking great. It was it's definitely a fun read if you want dog shit comics. So yeah, never backing Mike Barron again. Aside from Rippaverse, I'll read that dog shit 'cause that's fun, but don't ever tell me a guy can write in the modern day. Don't Don't promote them to me. Not buying it. But yeah, that was fun for today. Impromptu. Dan was down a chat for about an hour, so I was like, cool, let's just stream. And yeah, we'll definitely follow up on some Snyder talk because we had an interesting conversation on Twitter about it. But I'm gonna go head over to Katie's stream if you want to continue. I don't know what she's talking about, but I love hanging out with Katie, so I'm gonna go over there. Let me put the link in the chat momentarily. 1 second. Let me find her so I can share her stream. Pull it up. All right, here we go. Here we go. Go over and support Katie. That's where I will be since she sent out the link. And see you over there. Thanks for joining. Talk to you later. That was exhausting dealing with Goodyng again, but worth it for EVS. But God, that is exhausting. Thank you for joining. Talk to you all Thursday night, 9 p.m. for some beef, me and Rookie. Not sure what we're talking about, but we'll have fun regardless. See you around.